Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. Welcome to this live birth chart reading session. Yes, we're going to be doing some live readings today, and I actually have a few names already. But if you just give me a moment so I can get this information up, and this is also a good opportunity to kind of just make sure that the internet is fine for these live readings. How are we doing today? How is everyone? Hi, Maya. Okay, so I have your first time catching me live. Ooh, I hope you enjoy the live. And I want to say then that I have one, two, three. I've got 5 people booked in for this session today. And I'm going to accept maximum, I'd say between 10 and 12, I would say. Hello, hi. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Hannah. Hello, Jenna. Right, so just to let you know, if you are interested in a live reading today, so the ways in which to do this can be located in the description box. So there is a link to my PayPal there. And what you need to do then is select which type of reading you want, the 2 choices being a 10-minute reading or a question. And then you obviously put in your time of birth, your date of birth, your place of birth, all that good stuff. And I hope that the internet is working well right now. Hello, Chris. Hi, Gabby. Hi, HC. Oh, we're doing live readings today. I love these. Like, why did I stop doing these for the past 4 months? I really enjoyed doing these over the summer. I mean, look, everyone's here and everyone's like, I want a reading. And the thing about it as well, I think it's enjoyable watching other people get readings, isn't it? Oh, it is enjoyable. So I'm just going to keep a little check on PayPal to see if there's any other readings that will come through. But yes, that is how you get a reading today. Great. Awesome. So I actually have prepared here, if I just come out of this a moment, because I think we're all good. Don't need my phone anymore. Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. I'm getting my hair done on Thursday. It's in need of a freshen up. Oh, look at me being all self-deprecating. Okay, so we have another that came through. Samantha. Thank you so much, Samantha. I typically like to get everybody in first. And then once I get everybody in, then I can update the description and then I can say, hey, we're booked. We're booked for this session. So Samantha, you are wanting a 10-minute reading. And in the meantime, what I'll do is I will get our first member, Jessica, I will get your chart ready here. I did receive your email as well, just saying about the birth time. And let me see. Oh, we've got another. Jenna. Perfect. Thank you so much. Jenna. Let me just check something, actually. Let me just check something. I need to check. Okay, let me see. Okay. Coming out. There. Okay, so yes, we have Jenna as well for 10 minutes. Perfect. So as I say, the instructions are found below of how to pay for a reading. Let me see. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. All right, then. So I'm going to share this chart. Thank you for being here, by the way, everyone. Thank you. And there we go. And I'm going to move this. Okay. Right. So I have, just to clarify, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7. I have 7 readings in so far. And then I'll keep an eye on my email to check for other people coming in. And then, like I said, the maximum I'm going to take is between like 10 to 12 people. And then as soon as we're fully booked, I will edit the title. That's how I did it the last time. Right. So I'm going to get my timer at, oh, move that over. Jessica, are you here, Jessica? I know that you booked in a few days ago, but are you in the audience at all? Jessica, are you watching? You're the first person. And if you're not here, of course, this is going to be up for you. And if I go to my timer and I go to 10 minutes, there we go. All right. Okay. So let's get into this. And yes, as Sean says, take your coat off. You could be here a while. Get comfortable, right? I've got Cancer in the 11th house. Okay. I've got my South Node there, the part of fortune there. The 11th house is all about like audiences and, the internet and stuff like this. So viewership in this way. And Cancer in the 11th house could suggest that you really want your audience to get cozy and comfortable. Okay. So, Jessica. Okay, so I'm going to start the timer right now for you, Jessica. Okay, and we're going. Okay, so first and foremost, Jessica, what's really, really standing out to me within this chart is the fact that you have so much Pisces energy. Okay, so you have this Pisces rising, you also have the moon there, as well as Venus at 29 degrees. So looking at this anaretic degree, and you also have Ceres. Okay, this is really beautiful, sweet, kind, tender, loving energy. Okay, I see this as you being someone who just comes across as quite poetic and as quite deep, right? Deep, emotionally understanding, as someone who is willing to go further than just the physical and pretty intimate as well. I can see this as you being a highly like intimate, affectionate person. Big feelings, big feelings. And this can, of course, go in many different ways and directions, So this could be where you're overwhelmed with like love and joy and embracement, but this could also be where, you're really overwhelmed actually with like anger and rage and upset. And, maybe you're someone who you often look out at the world and you tend to see the best in people, right? You can be idealistic, you can be hopeful, you can even perhaps be quite romantic. Maybe you believe in love, maybe you believe in, harmony and kindness for all. And you just want the world to be a better place, somewhere where there's just more humanity, right? People are kind and generous within humanity. And I even see this as you being quite charitable and hospitable toward other people. Okay, like you're the type of person, I think, who will take other people under your wing and just sort of be like, there, I've got you. And perhaps you also make many sacrifices within love, and there's also this sense of, unconditional love. Of course, Venus is exalted in Pisces, and so this to me suggests that your love knows no bounds, basically. And your love, whenever you do give love, it's from your heart, right? It's from a deep soulful place. And even on that note, perhaps you are pretty creative, artistic, you're someone who is moved quite a bit by art and by beauty. And it's almost like you engulf these things, like you take them in and they become you, right? You could even be highly impressionable, easily influenced by other people. Um, and I would also say spiritual, right? So there could be certain like spiritual values that you hold near and dear to your heart, and you'll align yourself with those, and you'll follow those things, right? Now, the other thing I just want to say with this, however, is the fact that we notice that Saturn is opposing this moon energy. Okay. Um, and Saturn is retrograde in Virgo, and then the South Node is also in Pisces there in the first house with the North Node in Virgo. So actually, what the challenge for you, I suppose, in this life is being able to come from a place of security and like boundary setting whenever you need to. Okay. There can be, I think, with the South Node here, especially in combination with all this Pisces energy, there can be this tendency of giving too much, right? Or overextending yourself, or lacking boundaries, or feeling so heavily and so deeply about people and things and situations, and then you're bogged down, right? You can even be quite like in a state of delusionment or victimhood, or it's like, woe is me, life's not fair and everyone's so mean to me, or why do people take advantage of me, and this kind of stuff. But I feel as if the North Node in Virgo, along with Saturn there, it's really highlighting the importance of, moving toward greater boundaries and security, and, really looking at how you can set firm foundations within your relationships too, and how you can essentially mature, how you can grow up. Now, with that, of course, being said, I understand you were born in 1979, and so you've actually went through your first Saturn return. And the pretty interesting thing about this for you, actually, Jessica, is the fact that you're experiencing this second Saturn opposition, right? Because Saturn right now is in Pisces. It's pretty much conjunct your moon there in Pisces, and it's opposing your natal Saturn in Virgo. I'm going to say here, and I'm going to suggest here, that this could be quite a pressure time, okay? A challenging time when it comes to your aims, your goals, your ambitions, your direction. Maybe there's some sort of uncertainty about the future right now for you. Or maybe it's like, okay, I need to really revisit these matters, and I need to kind of consider, right, okay, how do I wish to grow up? How do I wish to move on? And maybe these matters are strongly related to relationships, or related to um, business or agreements, or certain documents that need to be signed. Looking at certain collaborations that you're a part of here. Of course, like I said, business could be a part of this. Maybe professional relationships, especially because Saturn, looks at professionalism. It looks at career, it looks at our purpose, our reputation, status, these types of things. So work-related matters could very well be pressurizing at the minute. It's almost like you can feel like you need to change something if you are to live a more kind of emotionally fulfilling life at the moment. And just, I would even just suggest with this then, just baby steps, right? Maybe it is important to revisit the foundations and the structures that exist, but this can also be extremely helpful, for redefining who you are, and for following through with a plan, solidifying things. Now, the other thing, of course, I know this is only 10 minutes. There's so much more I could say about your chart, my goodness. But the other thing I want to say, you do have Mercury as well as Mars, Juno and Vesta are also there in Aries in the second house, So I think a big part of your life path has been about, establishing, healthy attitudes and behaviors toward leadership and toward ownership as well, and looking at your own independence and your own individuality and freedom when it comes to your resources, your belongings, right? So it could very well be here, Jessica, that you have really shown up for yourself a lot. As you have grown. And maybe this comes down to your own sort of self-worth and what you value and what is within your control and what can you do. I think you have a lot of passion. Like, you're a very, very passionate person, especially when it comes to the types of things you wish to earn and how you wish to provide. I can really see you being quite the warrior, right? Quite the fighter in this way. And then the other thing I just want to follow on with this by saying, okay, a couple things. Jupiter being one of the chart rulers for you, it is actually in Leo and it's 0 degrees there. It's actually making a trine to Mercury and also to Vesta retrograde in the second house. So to me, it suggests that you are a trailblazer when it comes to the work that you do, the services you provide. You're a leader, you seek to be an authority, and maybe you experience great luck and joy and growth and blessings and prosperity whenever you follow this type of path. Not to say that things have been easy, of course, but there's just something here about you really fighting for yourself, protecting yourself, wanting to make yourself basically wanting to align yourself with something that is fulfilling and rewarding is what I'm trying to get at. Okay. And then the other thing I just want to say is there's all these like secondary progressions here in Taurus. You actually are a Taurus, meaning your sun is in Taurus. Okay. So the sun is in Taurus, Chiron's there. And then these secondary progressions of the ascendant, Mercury and Mars are all in Taurus. So I feel as if you're someone you're working through these deep kind of seated wounds when it comes to your value, your self-worth, especially how these things are related to how you communicate or related to how it is that you learn, for example. Maybe, yeah, there's some sensitive spots there, basically, which you have indeed worked through and you have continued to work through. Of course, your Chiron return will also come up within the next few years or so. And maybe a lot of this is to do with your ego and your individuality and how you express yourself. But of course, with these secondary progressions, I feel as if this is looking at how much, your outlook has changed when it comes to these matters, especially with Venus being there as well. With Venus being there as well, there's just something here about how it is that you speak to yourself. And maybe a lot of that is quite soothing energy. There's just something coming up here about soothing sensations, focusing on the body, focusing on your body sensations, and perhaps as well regulating your nervous system, calming your nervous system, trying to take things a lot slower in your life, okay? And being more softer and tender in this respect, especially when it comes to that kind of inner monologue that goes on within the mind. So yeah, it could be that there have been these substantial changes and shifts that have occurred for you, especially as Uranus has been transiting. Okay, Uranus has been transiting your third house as well for a good while. So with Uranus, of course, Uranus can look at change and breakthroughs. Okay, if I come. Give me a moment. Okay. Haven't done this in a while, you can tell, because I'm like, where'd I go? Okay, so yes, that was you, Jessica. Your 10-minute reading. Also have another member, Tracy. Thank you very much. So, Tracy, I'm assuming this is a 10-minute reading then. Excuse me, I just ate before this and I'm like, oh. But yes, let me just go down the chat. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hi. Hi, Alexander. Hi, KCO. Hi, Sandy. Hello, Autumn Rose. Hi. Hello, Angelica. And yeah, so just to let you know that in order to book a live reading today, you need to go to the description box because the instructions are all there. Okay, read through those and then we set it up that way. They are not yet booked, so got yeah, a few more. Okay, so we're gonna move on then. We're gonna move on to Gabriella. I love that name. Okay. I love the name Gabriella. I'm like, if I ever had a daughter, like I would love to call my daughter Gabriella. Just I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud right now. But I just love it. It's such a beautiful name, isn't it? Oh, okay. Okay. Where are we? Okay, yes, okay, awesome. Thank you for being here, Gabriella. And so it's 10 minutes. Oh, sorry, you've said here now it's more about transit reading. Okay, well, I need to make a couple of adjustments if that is the case. Just give me a moment, please. Okay. Right. So I'm still going to show you your chart with your progressions, and then I'm still going to have the transits just alongside it. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I missed doing this. I did. I missed it. What is wrong with me? Why did I stop doing this? I love this. And we also have someone else. Alexander, you're getting a reading. Oh my gosh. Oh my days. Awesome. And also, is this just to confirm with you, Alexander, is this a 10-minute reading or is this a question? Um, just confirm with me, please, and thank you. Okay. Okay. Radio. Just let me take a drink of water. Okay, so actually, so 1, 2. Yeah. Okay. 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 I got it. 10 minutes. Got it. Alexander, perfect. Got you booked in. Okay, so let's explore you, Gabriella. And actually, what I'm going to do, I want to have this alongside. Yeah. Okay, so 10 minutes and then we're exploring transits, but I'm also going to try and go between with the progressions at the same time. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so for you, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, that was, we'll go start again. Sorry. Do you ever just get phone calls from random numbers and you're just like, how do you have my number? Seriously. Okay. Right. So taking it from the top. Okay. So, Gabriella. All right. So, you're wanting to know about a few important transits. Right. So, what is jumping out at me first and foremost is the fact, okay, so of course your sun is in Taurus. Okay. That's interesting. Same birthday as Jessica. But yeah, your sun is in Taurus there at 1 degree in the 11th house. And then you also have there Jupiter that is transiting your 11th house at the minute. So I would say there, well, okay, firstly, let's think about Uranus. Uranus has also been transiting your 11th house for a good while. And I feel as if, especially, at the beginning of this particular transit, so a good few years ago, I think that Uranus conjunct your sun was quite eye opening, especially when it came to your hopes and wishes for the future. Really thinking about the type of life that you wish to build, or especially thinking about how it is that you aim for greater serenity and sensuality and relaxation in your life, this type of stuff. And then as well, I would say that perhaps your friendships and the groups and teams that you're a part of were redefined, or you have been sort of reinventing yourself quite a bit when it comes to these matters. Now, the thing about Uranus is that it will start to make a conjunction to Saturn there and also Ceres there in your 11th house. This is going to happen more toward like so I would say like toward the end of 2024 coming into 2025, maybe around summer, more strongly there. But of 2025. But basically, I think that this could very well look at this out with the old, in with the new um, feel, okay? Especially with Saturn there. So there's something quite solidifying and structuring or structured about Saturn. So it could be, that there are certain really, really valuable like friendships and communities and teams that, you're a part of, and you've really grown with this, with certain people. You've grown even when it comes to certain non-conforming ideas, when it comes to your hopes and wishes for the future. Um, and so maybe this is about like reestablishing these very things, or seeing what can be added, what can be new and exciting here. This could be a pretty accelerating time. This could even be where there are major sort of breakthroughs in this way, or breaking free from particular outdated systems and structures that no longer serve you with respect to like communities and organizations and stuff like this. Maybe this is even strongly related to your career. It's related to your profession, right? Because the thing about Saturn, it points toward these very things. It rules these things. But then the sun, I would even say, especially with Jupiter. Okay, so again, back to Jupiter. With Jupiter there, making that conjunction to your sun, perhaps, this has been largely about like, okay, I'm going to believe in myself here, or I'm going to believe in the next step, that whatever is meant for me is meant for me and it won't pass me. It's this type of stuff. Perhaps it is that your faith, it has indeed been challenged in this respect. Um, but I think at the same time, well, especially when Jupiter was retrograde there, from September until around the end of December, coming into January. But I think that this has been quite a hopeful time for you as well. And maybe it is about largely about self belief. I mean, your natal Jupiter, right? If we consider your natal Jupiter, that is in Sagittarius. There, it's retrograde. There's also Neptune retrograde there too. So with that Saturn, that Jupiter energy in Sagittarius, this to me suggests that you're quite a hopeful person and quite idealistic, and you can even be quite dreamy and romantic. And there's something here about really wanting to expand yourself and grow when it comes to work, when it comes to your services. And the only thing I would say with this, however, is I think both Jupiter and Neptune can indicate that there can be this part of you where you go overboard, or you related situations where you're overdoing it, right? Or there's overconsumption, or maybe it's having to kind of make certain cutbacks. And maybe Jupiter transiting your 11th house in Taurus has helped a lot with this. Maybe it's kind of got you going back more to, okay, well, what is valuable to me? How can these things support me as an individual here? Thinking about how you can support your ego, um and I was as well. I think that there's a lot of growth here when it comes to others, right? Growth when it comes to certain communities you're a part of, and maybe rediscovering parts of yourself in this way. Okay, so the other thing I want to say with this is, of course, so if we think about how, well, with you having a Cancer rising, and then the moon So the moon was transiting your sixth house for the past couple of days, but then also Venus is transiting your sixth house along with Mercury and Ceres. So I think there is a reevaluation here, which has been unfolding over the past few months, when it comes to work, when it comes to your health as well, I would say, when it comes to your habits and your routines, etc. And I think a big part of this is more so about, okay, this actually brings me joy. This brings me happiness. Like I care about this. I feel good whenever I'm doing this. Maybe there is this uplifting energy that you're really seeking in this regard. And then I also just want to mention as well that you are going through your Mars return. Okay. So your natal Mars is in Capricorn. Of course, Mars is exalted in Capricorn. And this to me suggests just how much of a go getter you are when it comes to business, when it comes to certain deals. You could very well be an authority, an expert, a professional when it comes to certain business relationships. Maybe a lot of people depend on you, they look to you as a sensible figure. But the thing about this, of course, is Pluto has been transiting your seventh house for the past 15 years, especially with Pluto there right on your Vesta. And it was also quite close to Mars there. I would say more so like last year. But I think that this has showcased huge renewals, actually, huge renewals to do with these relationship partnership areas that I mentioned. And, maybe there's something here about, you know what, that's really not serving me anymore. And this isn't useful to me anymore, or I don't see the purpose in this. But it is more about, okay, what is purposeful? What is useful to you, and it's more about practicality in this way with Capricorn. And if something just doesn't seem practical, or maybe it's outdated, Pluto in a way has come along and it's cleared the path, I guess you could say. There is that sense of collapse and perhaps even looking to certain crises points, emergencies, but there's also the breakthroughs. Now, is this to say that this energy is easy? No, I would not say that this energy has been particularly easy for you, especially when it comes to business, especially when it comes to your relationships, looking at certain power plays, or looking at control, or looking at force, and people, wanting to bend to each other's will, this type of stuff. But this has also been a good way for you to really assess, okay, your shadow, or to assess what it is that you truly desire. Pluto can also look at our deepest desires in this way, and I feel as if, especially with Pluto about to re-enter Aquarius come the 20th of January, um, I think that this stuff that I mentioned, it's going to ease a little bit for you, but do keep in mind that Pluto will re-enter your seventh house by September to November of this year. So that's going to be another good opportunity for you to reevaluate, okay? So what I would suggest in this, and what I think is kind of happening for you, is there's a slow moving process happening. I think there's a lot of caution on your end, of course, especially with Mars there. I think there's something about re-strategizing this sort of business plan, or the structures, and kind of seeing what does and doesn't work when it comes to your relationships, and how you can be more of an authority, or how you can take responsibility, and so on. And then I also just want to mention as well, of course, you've got this Pisces energy in the ninth house. So Neptune is right there. It is transiting your ninth house, and it has been since 2011. And then also Saturn has been transiting your ninth house since March 2023. Now, Saturn, of course, Saturn's not quite yet, reaching your personal planets there in the ninth house. But I would say that with Neptune to begin with, with Venus and the moon, and also the midheaven in your ninth house, I think this is actually looking at, where you feel drawn to. There's something about the intuition being highlighted here, especially regarding higher learning, higher knowledge, seeking, when it comes to seeking, when it comes to questioning your meaning in life. I'll stop this, but I'll finish my point. So I think in this way, this has been a good opportunity for you to really go inward and to do a lot of contemplation, and to really reflect, and what do I believe, and what do I feel drawn to, and what is meaningful to me, and what feels real to me. Now, of course, Neptune can suggest some sort of fog, or, disillusionment, but it's also a good opportunity to more so just go, right, I need to slow down. I need to ease in this, and I need to kind of be in my own space for a bit, and as I say, contemplate. Like a lot of contemplation I can see happening for you regarding your deeply held beliefs, regarding higher learning. And then when Saturn does eventually start to catch up with your Pisces energy, I would say by next year, more so, that will be a good opportunity for you to come. So that'll be a good opportunity where things will come along and you'll want to have more clear definitions of things, right? And you'll want to maybe make new plans or set new plans in place and lay down new solid foundations which can help support all the contemplation that you've been doing, or these things will be based on the contemplation that you'll be doing. Okay. Stop. Okay, we're closed. A lot of people have jumped in. Okay, we're closed. Do not send, please. Hold on. Let me edit this. Are you gonna let me edit this? Seriously? Please. Do not send. Please, people, do not send. Readings fully. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Readings fully booked. And you know what? I'll even remove my PayPal link so then people don't so you don't do it by accident. Okay, so Gabriella, because I know that you want, to more so look at transit there. Okay, awesome, good. I hope you find it to be helpful. Oh, Scorpio goddess, I'm so sorry. Well, yeah, so the time we would you like to make this a bit of a weekly thing? Is this something you would like? Because I could come on next Tuesday. Okay. You can come on next Tuesday and do more. But so we have Alexander and another so we got another Gabriella Timmons. We have Pikes or Peaks or sorry, I'm mispronouncing your name. Excuse me. Got Crystal. Got Kelly. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's a lot of you today. There's a lot of you today. I did not expect this response. So thank you. Thanks for being here, everyone. Okay. Autumn. You said you sent? Just give me a moment, folks. Sorry, I just need to just make sure that I've got everybody. I hope you understand. I want to ask Autumn Rose. You said that you sent payment via PayPal. Was it under the name Autumn? No. It could be that it's just taking a little while to come through. But not to worry, I will get through other readings, okay? And then the other thing about it as well is you know, if there are any sort of delays and stuff like that, I'm going to come back on. We can do this next Tuesday if you like. And yeah, because there's a lot of people wanting readings. Wow. Thank you so much. Okay, so yes, Gabriella, that was yours. I hope you find it to be helpful. Sherry, we're moving on to yours. Coming out. And you, Sherry, you want to know about this upcoming solar eclipse. Let me actually, I just want to make sure. Yeah, readings were fully booked, and I want to make sure that it's shown on YouTube. Want other people sending through. Oh, let me see. Autumn. Oh, yes. You say, yeah. 25th of November, Autumn Rose, is that right? And hi, Sherry. Hello. Yes, it says readings fully booked. Okay, awesome. Got that. Yes, got you. Shola, got you. And yeah, I'm just double checking with you, Autumn Rose. It says so you say it's Kelly, so Kelly Rose, and it's 25th of November. Okay, got you. We got you. Okay. All right. So, Sherry, let's do this. Let's explore this solar eclipse for you. So what I've done is I've put the progressions for the 8th of April 2024. Of course, that's when it's gonna be. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pull up the transits for that day. If I go here. Okay. And Jenna, got you. Got you. Okay. But yeah, we're going on to Sherry next. Okay. Thank you so much for your patience, folks. Okay. Alrighty-o. Right, so I'm going to set the time. Well, okay, well, there's no timer. It's the question. It's the question itself. Okay, no problem. Okay, so for you, Sherry, right. So the solar eclipse, of course. Okay, actually, let me just double check. I want to double check something before. I'm sorry. Just need to make sure I have everything I need. Okay. Okay. And I need to go on to my calendar. Calendars help because it's a specific date. Yes, 8th of April. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Sure. Okay. Stassa, got you as well. Got you. What I'll do after I've done Sherry's is I'll just read through everybody else and just make sure that everybody's in. All right. Okay. Right. So we're going to move on to you, Sherry. Okay. So basically, Sherry, yes, the solar eclipse in Aries will happen at 19 degrees on the 8th of April 2024. So what is significant about this one is we're going to have, of course, the sun and moon will be there. Chiron will also conjunct this solar eclipse. Mercury will also be there. Venus will be there as well. So there's going to be a big stellium in your 7th house. So that time period is going to be very notable. I would say it's very notable for you when it comes to things like business, love, partnership, relationships, especially if there's any certain wounds or insecurities or soft spots there, sensitive spots when it comes to relationships in this way. Now, of course, this is going to be extra potent for you because it's going to happen right on your descendant in Aries. So let's kind of think about what that suggests to have this Aries energy in the 7th house, and then to have this Libra rising. Of course, what we're also going to need to explore with this is where Mars is. Okay, so Mars, of course, is the ruler for 7th house, and that's in Leo. And then Mars is in Leo in the 11th house. So I would say here that, with the 7th house, it can often look at what is reflected back to us, what is mirrored in a way. So there's something about other people, looking to the other. And so what you may tend to recognize in other people is that, my partners, they seem to be quite fast or courageous or brave, or they're assertive, or they're really independent people. And maybe what this solar eclipse then is highlighting to you is look at this. Look at these qualities within yourself. Look how much you can be a trailblazer. Look how much you can be a leader. And maybe this is also about planting significant, like this is the thing about solar eclipses, significant seeds, planting significant seeds, setting significant and quite urgent, perhaps, intentions, because it's Aries energy, intentions to do with the likes of leadership and drive and focus and power, right? And especially with Mars being in Leo, right? This other fire sign, that Mars in Leo energy, it's saying, okay, time to be a leader when it comes to networking, time to be a leader when it comes to how you shine in front of a group and how you express yourself in front of a group, how you project yourself, right? Leo energy is very much like I am projecting myself outwardly to the world, and my body language is showing that, and I'm confident what I'm saying, and I'm sure of what I'm saying. And so there is this don't hold back energy, I think, that's really going to be ushered in for you. And so this could very well look like, profound and notable changes here, to do with the likes of business, right? To do with the likes of cooperation, negotiation, thinking about, what's fair, what's balanced, even looking at the give and take here. Of course, the South Node is still there in Libra for you, and you have a Libra rising. And so what this is even pointing toward is, these are certain gifts that you have. These gifts and these talents to do with the likes of cooperation, right? And to do with being able to kind of find a common ground and being able to negotiate and being really very poised in doing so, and quite eloquent, eloquent. So maybe this is also a good opportunity for the Libra part of you to say, okay, well, this is how I'm going to get an in here, right? Whether this be, this business opportunity or a newfound sense of self within a relationship, for example. But yeah, so finding an in a pretty thoughtful, a tactful, diplomatic way, but there's still that kick, right? There's still that push, there's that drive, there's that will, there's a slight bit of force in it as well. So I feel like this is going to be a really, really good time for you to open yourself up, especially when it comes to your confidence and self assurance. And even just to finish this off for you, Sherry, is you've got a lot of Scorpio energy. I mean, Scorpio is also ruled by Mars. You've got the North Node in Scorpio. You've got a big stellium in the second house. So perhaps a lot of this stuff that, what I'm talking about, it's also in a way, connected to the Scorpio part of yourself. And what I mean by this is how just like focused and concentrated you can be when it comes to your material efforts, when your material successes. And maybe this is also going to break toward like notable transformations and growth on your end too. Um, and then even just to finish this off by saying the transit of Mars will be in Pisces. Okay. So Mars will, of course, like I said, it'll be the ruler of, it's the ruler for seventh house. It will be the ruler of the solar eclipse, or the dispositor of the solar eclipse. So Mars being there in Pisces along with Saturn, you're going through your Saturn return in Pisces in the sixth house. So perhaps this is also going to highlight, some substantial changes to do with work and your services and your health and your well-being, and maybe looking at more solidified routines, looking at healthier ways of taking on the day, maybe making some more time for contemplation or meditation, or being able to go within a little bit as well. So I think it could also be quite a reflective time for you too, especially when we consider how Saturn is also opposing your moon in the 12th house in Virgo, and that moon in the 12th house energy, it is very much saying that you tend to deal with a lot of your emotions when you're in solitude, and maybe that's actually what you need in order to support yourself the most. So anyway, yeah, the solar eclipse I think could very well highlight these things for you. Okay, Sherry, that was you. Awesome. Okay, good. Yes, leap of faith. I mean, well, we're gonna see this a lot during the solar eclipse in Aries. Okay, so that is you. Now we're moving on to Melanie. Right, so I did say I was going to read through. Okay, so we've got Melanie, Sarah, Samantha, Jenna, Tracy, Alexander, Gabriella, Pikes or Peaks. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but maybe it's Pikes. Maybe it's how you pronounce it. Crystal, Kelly, Stasa, and Shola. Okay, that is the order that I received all the payments in. So yeah. Okay, so Melanie. Thank you for being here, by the way, everyone. And thank you, Sherry. Thank you to Jessica, Gabriella, and Sherry. Okay. Is Melanie here? Are you here at all? Um. Uh-huh. Okay. Actually, let's see. If I go here and here and here. Uh-huh. Okay. Can I just ask Melanie, are you there? Because in Australia, which way do you do it round for the times? I'm assuming actually this is the 6th of the 10th and not the 10th of the 6th. Because given the information that you told me. Okay. Let me just stop that and let me just pull up your info and let me just switch these around. So the 6th of the 10th, the 6th of October, and then I'll pull up the chart that way. Okay, we go here, we go here. Melanie. Okay, yes. And if Melanie, if you're not in the audience right now, hi Martha, hi. Good for you to join. Thanks for being here. I hope you're doing good. So Melanie, if you're not here, of course, this is going to be available for you when you are here, when you can make it. And I'm just going to pull this up. But yeah, I'm pretty sure then in Australia, you must do it the same way that we do it here, where it's the day of the month followed by the month, rather than in America, it's the other way around. I'm assuming that that's how it's done in Australia. Okay. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Can you let me? Okay. All right, Melanie, let's do it. Let's do it tonight. Okay, so Melanie, I'm going to start the timer for you. Okay. Right. So you wanted to know, Melanie, about this 8th house, 5th house energy. So this is sort of where I was thinking, or what I was thinking whenever I saw this. And the thing about the 5th house is, the 5th house looks at how we develop an ego, hopefully a healthy ego, right? So we develop an ego, we develop an individuality, right? So if you think about the 1st house, the 1st house can look at our identity, but then the 5th house more looks at how we strengthen our ego, and, it looks at how we involve ourselves, how we include ourselves. So to have Cancer here in the 5th house, along with the chart ruler, which is Jupiter and it's retrograde, along with Mars and also the moon, this to me suggests that you're very sensitive, right? You're a very sensitive individual and you really need to feel things out, okay? If you want to express yourself, if you want to really be open to, oh, this is what I think and this is how I want to share and this is how I want to include myself, you need to feel safe. You need to feel secure and supported as well. And I do also think that you just come off as so generous and as so giving and as so loving and comforting. You may be someone who is really well known for just how much you can comfort and support others. And there's also something here remarkable about how you nurture your hobbies and you nurture the things that bring you joy and bring you happiness. You can also be a leader in this way, right? Very assertive and a go-getter, when it comes to the things that you really love and that you find pleasure in doing. And maybe these things are related to family or home or being sentimental or making memories. So I would say that you can be quite the emotional leader in this respect. Of course, Jupiter is also exalted in Cancer. So this to me suggests that you have a lot of love to share and you have many emotions, many feelings, and maybe it's difficult for you not to kind of hold back from, sharing and expressing how you truly feel in this way. But of course, like I said, the important piece in this is to feel comfortable and is to feel safe. Now, this is where we want to step into this eighth house area for you, okay? So, the eighth house, in a way, looks at how our ego, consider fifth house stuff, how our ego transforms, okay? There's a breaking away energy to the eighth house. There is well, I was going to say dissolving, and I suppose maybe in a way it is like that, but of course, Neptune in the 12th house is more about dissolving, though still, I would still say that there is a renewal, right? There's a renewal, there's getting rid of what isn't kind of working and kind of seeing through illusion and breaking past old patterns. So I think the fact that you have the stellium in the eighth house, all in Libra, especially with Pluto there, you've got the sun there. And the thing about the sun, of course, is that, the sun's in Libra, and then that scores off to this Cancerian energy, not by degree so strongly, but still there is that kind of tension and there's that resistance. So basically, what I'm pointing toward here is I think a big part of what you're coming to learn in this life is how to gain power and strength through or within your relationships and how to perhaps see where it is that your ego holds on very tightly, what you're resistant to change. Pluto could very well look at it, this energy of, well, whether you like it or not, you're going to change, you're going to transform. And maybe there have been many confronting situations where it's like, you can't deny this, right? You cannot overlook this. If you want greater peace, if you want greater harmony in your life, these are the things you're going to need to do. For example, you're maybe going to have to make a lot of cuts. So for, this could look like, if we go to the squares to the fifth house, this could look like you recognizing, hey, do you know what? I'm not really being seen here. Like, people don't actually see me for me, or they're maybe taking advantage, or they don't actually recognize my good essence or my good nature in this, and maybe there's some sort of like manipulative tactics that have happened, or perhaps there's been like lash outs, or there's been like emotional eruptions that have happened here, and power struggles, and these like tensions for like this tension for attention, this tension to be seen and to be recognized. And I'm just going to go there, Melanie, but perhaps some of these things have also came from you. But this is the thing. This is about being able to re-explore, or to be able to kind of dive deep into why this is, to be able to address the shadow, for example, to be able to address any sort of emotions that have been hidden out of sight and maybe being presented as, no, I'm actually really being sweet and I'm really being kind and being honest here, but maybe there's some um uncertainty or hidden truths here to do with intent, the real sort of feelings and intentions and drives and motivations behind what you do here. So yeah, I think this is especially very healing for you. And perhaps, as you have grown and as you've really matured, you have indeed stepped into a greater sense of personal power, and even maybe looking toward here, breaking away from any like people pleasing tendencies, or when you hold on for too long within relationships. And that's the other thing about the fifth house and the eighth house is the fifth house can look at our romantic relationships, it can look at love and dating and romance and stuff like this, which I do think that, you're someone who you're attracted to loving relationships where it is about feelings, and it's about creating those memories and enjoying tender moments together. Maybe staying at home is preferred with Cancer in the fifth house. But then the eighth house looks at intimacy, and that's different, isn't it? This is trust, this is commitment. Like, this is about, oh, we share We share a bed together. We share resources together. We share children together, you know? So if we were to consider how even the Libra energy looks to marriage, right? It looks at marriage, it looks at even committed relationships in this way. Perhaps this is suggesting some like squaring off energy to do with these matters, right? You know, this could look like for example, you having to be really honest with yourself about what you're willing to tolerate within relationships and what you're bringing to the party and what the other person is bringing to the party, and being able to maybe work through any power struggles, any power plays, and any hesitations or resistances to change and growth. But I would still say that there has been much growth. And, you know, maybe a part of that growth is recognizing, hey, you know what, this isn't working anymore. That could be something, right? You know, Pluto in there especially can look at these transformations and these deaths and these rebirths, so to speak. And when it comes to relationships, you know, this could look like a separation, a divorce. This could look like the ending of a long relationship, like a business partnership, perhaps. That could be the thing with this as well. But it's really about, I think, you know, being able to reflect and be able to go inward and think, why did this relationship begin, and why did it start, and how did it kind of grow, and how did you nurture it to begin with, and was there any sort of clinging, or was there any strong emotional moments or sensitive moments that you kind of look back on you and you think, oh wow, like I really did overgive or overextend there in the beginning, and maybe I didn't pay attention to what was in front of me. And you know, maybe it's just trying to create some type of balance and harmony a little bit for you again. And as I say, you know, perhaps you have learned a great deal about these matters, especially the fact that you have the North Node and Pluto and the Sun all in Libra. Of course, the South Node is transiting your eighth house right now. So I feel like a lot of these themes, you know, they're coming up. They're coming up and you can feel them. And this, the North Node transiting your second house right now, I think that that is really looking toward how much you value your own independence and freedom, and maybe looking at some sort of courageous moves to do with putting yourself first. This doesn't mean, you know, completely breaking away from a relationship, or, you know, just this whole like hyper individuality and stuff like that. I'm just saying, how can you create more of a kind of give and take and balance there? And maybe these themes have come up. And then I also want to mention with this, of course, Venus is the dispositor of all of that Libra energy for you. That's in Virgo, right? And that's in the seventh house. So the Venus energy in the seventh house in Virgo suggests to me that you're someone who goes, hey, you know what? We can work through this. Like anything we can fix, anything we can adjust. And you, of course, in a really positive way, especially with those sextiles to the Cancer energy, this to me shows, okay, stop, just finish my point. This to me shows that you show through acts of service, through helpfulness, how much you do care, and that's loving, and that's brilliant. You know, these are beautiful qualities. But perhaps as well at the same time, what you've really been learning from or working through a great deal is being able to see when are the times in your life when it is more about, okay, well, I'm just gonna try and fix this situation, but it's not necessarily about your own emotional needs. Okay, so if we stop. So that was just 10 minutes. Of course, there's more. There is more I could say. But I hope, Melanie, I hope I hope that was okay for you. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was useful. I hope it was helpful. Oh, okay, brilliant. Okay, that's you, Melanie. Okay. Okay. Well, I hope you find it to be helpful. Okay, so now we're moving on to Sarah. Okay, Sarah. Is Sarah here? Are you here? Okay. Okay, awesome. Hi, Sarah. Welcome. Hi. And as I say, Melanie, I hope you find your reading to be helpful. Thank you so much for booking. And thank you, Sarah, as well for booking. We're going to get into your 10-minute reading. So I'm just going to set the timer. Okay. Okay, so Sarah. All right, so what is jumping out at me firstly? Okay, so we do have some heavy energy here. And what I mean by this is you have this ascendant in Scorpio. You've also got Jupiter retrograde there, Pluto retrograde, and also the North Node. But then we've got opposite here, we've got the South Node in Taurus, along with Vesta. And then Black Moon Lilith there in Taurus, along with Mars. Okay, so there's an opposition, I would say, between Black Moon Lilith and Jupiter strongly. And then also, of course, with the South Node being there opposing that Pluto energy. Okay, so I want to start off by kind of thinking about the seventh house actually with the South Node. Because I think what this can suggest is that when it comes to relationships, they Black Moon Lilith there and Mars there, I think they can be quite extreme. Or maybe there's something here about liberating yourself, or there's something here about seeking some type of independence or freedom. To me, it almost feels as if you've experienced, and I hope it's okay for me to go there. You've experienced this sort of exile, if you will, or this banishing situation has happened, or maybe you have, felt like you've been punished or blamed or ridiculed or heavily judged by other people. And maybe this was from someone who you thought you could trust or who you thought you could rely on. But you see, with the South Node then also being there, maybe this is kind of pointing toward where it is that you have held on for too long in the past, and where it is as well within your relationships where um, it's been it's been more about trying to keep something the same, and to have it like there's a familiarity to it, and there's something comfortable about it. But if such comfortable patterns and themes are not serving you and they're not actually healthy for you, maybe the North Node in Scorpio here in the first house is actually saying, no, but you will get through this and you're going to transform and you are going to experience this renewal. Scorpio energy, especially with Pluto there, it can take you to your depths, right? I kind of often think about Pluto as like there can be like a strike or a jolt, that maybe sounds more like Uranus, but Pluto can be quite demanding in this way. And it's almost like Pluto knocks at your door and says, like, you're going to go through this, like whether you like it or not. You could go kicking and screaming here, but maybe in this way there has been many like moments, profound moments, confronting moments throughout your life that have said, um, you need to change. Like something needs to change about the way you are approaching things. Something needs to change about how you're coming across, and maybe a lot of that is to do with your own personal strength and personal power. And maybe this is also about resilience. And then even want to say with this is with Jupiter there, Jupiter, I think, can actually be quite supportive in this way. And stay with me here. Jupiter, I think, can suggest that whenever you do kind of ease more into, okay, this is my path and this is my direction, and I can kind of see my unhealthy ways of approaching relationships, or I can see my unhealthy ways of coping with things. Whenever you can kind of more reflect on these perhaps darker unconscious themes, you're actually rewarded in a great way. There's actually blessings, and there's luck, and there's opportunity, and things seem to actually expand and grow for you. And I think a lot of this has to do with inner work. Okay, a lot of this has to do with you being able to dive deep into your own psyche. And there's that, of course, there's the whole thing with Scorpio energy is rebirth and letting go of control as well, I would say, to a great extent. Scorpio energy, Pluto energy, also is Neptune, very much about surrender. And the thing, of course, well, the significant thing about this is Pluto is also making this sextile to Neptune and Uranus retrograde, both there in the third house. So Pluto retrograde in the first house is really pointing toward your own sort of personal power. Okay, this is about empowerment. This is about how it is that you can lift yourself up, build yourself up. This is about resilience. This is about determination and real growth from the inside out. But then with that sextile then happening to the third house, this is also a mental thing. Okay, there's also something deeply psychological about this, and maybe a good thing to look at then in this way is your own sort of unique views and your unique ideas, and also accepting your own sort of quirks and your own sort of thoughts, like having your own mind, basically freedom of thought, and then also exploring and tapping into your own sort of creativity and imagination, and maybe building upon these things gradually and seeing that there is potential there, right? There's potential for growth, and there's potential to really like become very, very good and well informed within a certain subject. And maybe that subject is something where it's like, you want to be an authority, or maybe it's related to astrology, spirituality. It's related to um, like social reform, or wanting to make a change within the world, wanting to make a difference within the world. Or there's something here about wanting to learn more about like human emotion, or something fantasy related, perhaps, of course. But the point is that this is about you being able to build and get better at things and improve upon things, and stepping up to the mark, basically. And then if we even consider how you have all this Gemini energy in the eighth house, right? So your sun is in Gemini, right? Your sun's in Gemini in the eighth house. Mercury's also there. Okay, there's links here to the third house because this is Gemini energy. Mercury's there as well, and Ceres is also there. So I think this is looking at your real personal transformations to do with your mindset, to do with communication, to do with speech, to do with, being this authority, I suppose you could say, when it comes to something that you're learning and something that you're sharing. And then also, I would say there's this changeability too, this flexibility, and having this like curiosity toward the occult, or toward spiritual sort of subjects, or subjects that are seen as like quite hidden or taboo. You're the type of person, perhaps, it's like you want to dive head first, and you're going to investigate, and you're going to research. And like I said, there's so much changing energy about this, and maybe it is about you learning how to be somewhat open to change and allowing those changing transformations to come in. And then this also, in a way, I think is linked to all of this this researching and studying to do with what you want to build, back to Capricorn. So I would even say with this, of course, with you having the sun in Gemini, plus the moon in Capricorn, so you have this very concentrated part of your part of you. I even see this through Scorpio, this concentrated part of you, this focus, this determination, this will, which these are also things that you're coming to learn gradually in this life as well, with the North Node in Scorpio. But then there's also this part of you that is perhaps hidden, right? This hidden part of you that is much more lighthearted and playful and entertaining, and you just kind of go with things. And I think that you do deep down, you want to be taken seriously, right? You can come across in this way where, perhaps it can come across as quite like Oh, wow, you're strong and you seem to, have a direction here and you can come across as like a badass, of course, with Scorpio on the rising in this way. Perhaps an optimistic badass with Jupiter there as well. But I do think that deep down, like on an internal level, you want to be taken seriously, and you want to be seen as some type of authority, and you want what you're saying to like mean something, to have a punch, to have a kick to it, And these are things, of course, that you're gradually like learning over time and you're maturing, etc., as well. But oh my gosh, you can be so ambitious, so highly ambitious and driven and persevering. And this is the thing as well, overcoming adversity. Okay, overcoming adversity, I tend to see this with Scorpio Capricorn combinations, like heavy Scorpio Capricorn placements. It's so much about overcoming adversity, and it's so much about your personal strength and like being able to say, do you know what, I made it through. I made it through. I got through that. Like I climbed the mountain. I reached the top. I overcame these obstacles. I overcame these setbacks. And this is what I have, to share for. And this is how much I've grown. Okay. Okay, so that was yours, Sarah. Thank you so much. And then we're going to move on to Samantha. And you were asking me about tea. You know what? That's probably a good idea. I will take a short break throughout these readings today, and I'm going to have a cup of tea. I hope that's okay. Um, yeah, a lot of you have booked in today. So thank you so much. Thank you. I really hope that you find these readings to be helpful. And I also just want to say here, if you do want a more like detailed reading, these are 10 minutes, right? These are 10 minutes. These are based on, okay, what's jumping out to me within the chart? What do you want to know about? Let's jump in, right? But if you want to know more in-depth information, more detailed information, if you want it to be more thorough, if you want me to explore certain areas more specifically, we can arrange that. And you need to go to hannahselsewhere.com to book a reading over there. Okay, so 6:15. And Sarah. Okay, yay, awesome. Good stuff, Sarah. Thank you so much. Thank you. 6:15. Let me just double check. Okay. December 21st. Okay, Sam, you said general reading, but touch on potential career paths as well. Okay. Got it. Roger that. Okay. Okay, Sarah. Or no, sorry, Samantha. Sarah was before. Sorry. Okay, Samantha, let's do this. Right, I'm gonna get timer. A lot of you have Saturn and Pisces, eh? So interesting. You're all going through your Saturn return in Pisces. I actually do have a Saturn return reading, just so you know. Okay. All right. So Samantha, let's do this. Okay, so Samantha, you wanted to know also about like potential career paths, this type of stuff as well. Well, the first thing that is really standing out to me within your chart is the fact that you have pretty much like all of your planets here on the western horizon, okay? And so this to me suggests that there's just something very like, especially with so much Capricorn energy. There's something very go-getter about you. And even with all that Sagittarius energy, high achiever. And when you set your eye on the prize, it's like, I am not going to give up. And you're also very hopeful and very positive, and your ambition, oh my goodness, your ambition just may be off the charts. Now, of course, the thing about this is that these qualities are typically shown or reflected through other people, but it's also through other people that you recognize, hey, you know what? I am a leader. I am brave. I am a warrior. I've got this, you know? So, this could look like you really getting good, like, feedback or confirmation from members of authority, from experts, from professionals, from people who know what they're talking about. But then the thing is that I think you strive to be a professional, right? You strive to be really, really good at what you do. And this shines or is shown through your business deals. Okay. This is shown through your ability to market yourself, even with Mercury there in the seventh house, your ability to carry a conversation. Mercury in the seventh house, you could be really very like ambitious when it comes to communication, especially in Capricorn. And with it conjunct Mars, it's like whenever you see that there's an in or there's an opportunity, maybe for success or for an accomplishment or for some sort of incentive, you're like, right, okay, get in there and make my stand and make my mark on this. And you know what, it could even be suggested here that it's well, with Capricorn energy, of course, it looks at the father figure. Maybe it's that a father figure has really like encouraged you in a great deal throughout your life, to be successful or to really make something of yourself. And we also notice as well, you were born during a new moon in Sagittarius, okay? Because the sun and moon are both there in Sagittarius in the sixth house, along with Jupiter being home there in Sagittarius. This to me is just very hopeful, optimistic, expansive energy. When it comes to work, and maybe as well in this respect. Of course, the sun also looks at the father figure. The moon also looks at the mother figure. To me, it can suggest like real aspirational energy or encouraging, uplifting energy from your parents. Maybe they have in a way inspired you or really pushed you when it comes to your work, or maybe they've helped you kind of learn that like you have what it takes to like reach your mountain of success, for example. Now, however, this can also suggest that travel is a big part of your work and your services. And maybe you're someone, you seek freedom, right? Essentially, this is what we're saying. You really want your freedom, you want your space. And maybe a big part of your mission is that of making sure that you have the ability to kind of explore your own options, to seek out your own sort of opportunities in life. Because this is the thing that I also want to mention. The North Node is in Libra in the fourth. Chiron is also there. And then the South Node is in Aries in the 10th. So whilst it could very well be suggested with the South Node in Aries in the 10th that like, you've had parental figures who've like pushed you and wanted to motivate you. And it's like, this is the way. Maybe this is also looking at the North Node in Libra. And it's more so about, okay, well, what do I actually feel and what do I need here? And also, what about balance? Greater balance. And this is the other thing about this is very fitting. You have all this energy going on in the Western hemisphere, but what about the Eastern hemisphere? Okay, what about this Gemini energy in the 12th? What about this Cancer energy in the first? And, with these energies, it could very well be suggested that in order for you to have greater balance and harmony in your life is to be able to kind of go behind the scenes and do a little bit more contemplation. This is the thing. Maybe all this, everybody has their opinion and thinks that they knows what is right for my life, and this is the direction that I have to take, and da da da. But maybe this kind of pointing toward, okay, well, how about you reflect a little bit? How about you journal? How about you really go within and consider, okay, what is it that I feel here? And what is it that I really think? And the thing is, of course, is Black Moon Lilith is also there along with this Cancer rising energy. Of course, it's not conjunct the ascendant, but Black Moon Lilith is also there. And maybe what this is actually pointing toward a bit here is there's there's something quite frightening about like change or about making the first move in this way. It's interesting to me because you're a Sagittarius, right? Meaning your sun is in Sagittarius. You also have your moon in Sagittarius. And so that is very freeing energy. That's the type of energy that just goes, right, okay, I have this amazing creative idea and I'm just going to go for it, And even Jupiter there, it's like, yes, the opportunity's there and you're hopeful and you're positive about it. But the Cancer energy in the first is sort of like, I need to suss this out. I need to feel here. I need to kind of see, what feels right for me. What do I really need here? And maybe there's something here actually about past issues or past concerns, maybe related to family, maybe related to the home, but maybe there was something quite banishing to do or rejecting to do with your appearance or how you come across. And so perhaps this is also about with Black Moon Lilith there, this is about liberating yourself in some way, or this is about like having the strength and having the power to like overcome. And there's a tenaciousness. I just want to say that when it comes to Cancer risings, right? You're very tenacious. Like whenever you've set your eye on the prize and there's a goal and there is that drive, you're like, I am holding on to this with dear life and I'm not letting go. So I would say that this energy can also be quite supportive, especially if you have, certain aims or goals or ambitions that you really want to strive for. But of course, with all the Capricorn energy in the seventh and the house of the other, it just seems as if it can appear as if everybody else knows, right? And it can appear as if everybody needs to have their own sort of say about your path and your direction. But what if this is slightly about you trying to kind of assess, okay, well, how am I perceiving what's being said? How am I taking that in? And how does that all feel within my physical body? And I also want to mention, okay, so you said about career stuff, of course, with all the Capricorn energy in the seventh, plus Saturn, which is the dispositor of this Capricorn energy, that's in the ninth. You've got the midheaven as well in Pisces there in the ninth. Maybe there's something here about teaching, being a mentor, being especially like a spiritual mentor or being this emotional mentor, right? Coming from a place of empathy, coming from a place of compassion. Maybe there's also something about you being a boss or a manager or an authority in some way, right? But again, you're going to do so through this place of like emotional understanding and also establishing healthy emotional boundaries too, perhaps. um and yeah, just education. I just see this as highlighting this educational career path for you, especially when we also consider how you've got all the Sagittarius energy, right? And it's in the sixth house. And there is an element to work in the sixth house, but Jupiter is the dispositor of your Saturn there. So Jupiter mixed in with the sun and the moon, and even the moon is the chart ruler, and the moon then can look toward a big theme in your life. Sagittarius energy is the explorer, it's the discoverer, it's the seeker, it's the preacher, it's the mentor, it's the scholar, it's the philosopher. So to me, it's just like there's something about education, further learning, advanced training as well with Saturn there in the ninth house, and really kind of building a solid foundation for yourself when it comes to for advanced training. And maybe that advanced training is related to something spiritual or creative, right? Something very creative, right? Even just to finish this off, like Pisces energy is such a creative, artistic sign. And maybe you do feel drawn to something quite creative in this way. And we even see this through that North Node in Libra, right? And there's that Chiron energy, and maybe that creative energy is somehow tied in with pain and suffering. But even Pisces energy is related to pain and suffering, but it's how you showcase through your art and through your music and through what you create, where there is this melancholy to the creation, or there's this sadness to whatever it is that you create, in terms of your art and beauty, etc. But yes, oh, and also publishing, just publishing, broadcasting, right? These areas could very much be highlighted for you. Okay, so that was 10 minutes. So that was yours, Samantha. Thank you so much. And then we're going to move on to Jenna. Jenna. So, Jenna, can you please and thank you just send me through your birth information again? Oh, there you are. Hi. It's just because it hasn't been attached to the little form, but you can type it in here. That's fine. Well, that is fine. I know maybe you actually already did that further up, but there's just so many comments, and trying to find it would be like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Let me see. I will try. Oh, I've got you. 21st of November. No, October. 21st of October 1998. 5:45 p.m. 5:49 p.m. And it Warren, Michigan. Warren, Michigan. Jenna. 21st of October 1998, 5:49 p.m. Warren, Michigan, USA. Jenna. And I'll come back down. Thank you. Excuse me. Okay. Right. Okay. All right, Jenna, let's do this. Oh, you actually asked me a question, didn't you? You did. You said, General. Okay, that's no problem. No problem. Okay, let's do this. Starting. Okay. So Jenna, let's think about how you have an Aries rising. Okay, so you have this Aries rising. And this to me suggests that first and foremost, you are someone who you take charge within situations. Like you can be perhaps um, quite direct or quite honest about what you think, especially whenever you first kind of are greeted to new people, or you're just more willing to kind of say it like it is in a way, or just be very clear, like to be very clear cut about, okay, right, this is the plan or this is the direction. And as well, I would say you can come across as quite like fast or as pretty driven. You could actually be quite a self-sufficient person in this regard. And this is also where we want to turn our attention toward Mars. So, Mars is the chart ruler for you. Mars is actually in Virgo, and it's also their home in the sixth house. No, sorry, Virgo is home in the sixth house, not Mars. My apologies. But yes, so Mars here in the sixth house suggests to me that you are someone who, whenever you kind of set out for the day and it's like, okay, this is the routine, this is the things that I need to do, you're just quite on the move, quite particular as well about how you like things need to be in a very specific order, in a specific way that you prefer. This can also suggest that you can be quite forward and direct about how you like things to be done. And maybe you're also pretty ambitious and goal orientated when it comes to your health, when it comes to fitness, when it comes to your diet and stuff like this. And you really do care about how it is that you treat your body. And maybe as well, in this way, you can be a bit of a leader when it comes to work, right? Taking on leadership positions, but you're still being of service in some way, or maybe you're the one who's handling certain jobs, like little detailed jobs, or filing, or organizing, or cleaning, or having to readjust things, or having to set out a plan. Maybe you're a very good like assistant in this way too, or it could be that you do gravitate toward roles where you are in a leading role or in a management role in some way, shape, or form. But even if this is the case, you're still going to make sure that the systems in place, they're working smoothly and they're working well. And maybe you also really appreciate efficiency and being quite productive too. Now, I also want to mention that Mars is making this sextile to the moon, and you have your moon in Scorpio. You actually also have Mercury in Scorpio, and it's the same degree. So the moon and Mercury come as a package here. Let's just say that you can have this focus, like this real focus, this concentration to you whenever you have the will and the strength, and it's like, this needs to be done, right? Just get it done. And I would also say with this that you're very good at reading between the lines, like being able to sort of pick up on sort of nuances or what's happening within the atmosphere. But I also want to mention with this furthermore, of course, that Scorpio is in the eighth house, right? And the moon is there in the eighth, and also Black Moon Lilith is there in the eighth along with Chiron. So there's also something here about your own healing journey related to your psychology, related to your emotional world. And, maybe you're a very sensitive person, but you don't necessarily show this outwardly toward other people. People don't really know, for example, what you're battling with, what you're struggling with, what you're dealing with. And maybe you keep a lot of this stuff in. But the thing about this is that it can often reach to a breaking point, right? It can often come to a point of like exploding. You could very well explode or lash out. And maybe you've kind of dove into a lot of like the psychological reasons for all of this. And maybe some of this is even tied to your childhood, your upbringing, looking at the relationship that you had with your mother, for example, specifically, because of course the moon is tied to the mother within astrology. And then you also have the IC there in Cancer, and then the moon would rule that IC for you. And maybe as well, this is looking towards certain conversations that have been had with your mother, maybe related to power struggles or related to any psychological issues here. And I hope that I'm not going too much into this, because of course I do want to be sensitive toward your own needs too. But yeah, I just think that this is pointing toward um just diving more into those sensitive topics. But this is also where we notice how much you've grown, and how much you have transformed, and even how much you have really become stronger. And I don't say that to be overlooking of any emotional difficulties either. I just want to make that clear. But basically, there's just been a lot of healing, a lot of healing on your part, and maybe having to sit with deeper emotions and feelings too. Now, with that, I also want to mention, if we were to consider with the eighth house, the eighth house can also look at like um, managing other people's resources, managing other people's finances. We see this managerial, is that a word? Managerial quality to you, where you can take charge within situations that are related to managing other people's accounts. Or this could even be where you work within positions that where it's heavily about having to identify fraud or illegal activity or criminal activity, this type of stuff. Or maybe you gravitate toward these rules where it's very much about reading, as I said earlier, reading between the lines, and it's about investigating and doing a lot of research, right? And maybe that in combination with Mars being in the sixth house, we can see this right through the work that you do and the services that you provide. Now, I also want to mention that, of course, your sun is in Libra, right? Your sun is in Libra. Venus is also home there in Libra, and it's actually conjunct the sun in the seventh house. So I would even say here that you can be very cooperative and diplomatic in your relationships, and you can come across as quite sweet and appealing, and as quite harmonious, right? It's like you would much rather try to handle a situation, or even a disagreement, in this more poised way, where it doesn't have to get too overly emotionally charged. It doesn't have to be like that. But the thing is that if or when it does, it's almost like that Scorpio part of you can come out, that can come out where it's just like, I've had enough. I think you're someone who, we really do know like what your limits are in this way, right? Whenever you're out of balance, for example, whenever things just don't feel so pleasant. And so maybe there is something here about you exploring such tendencies or such situations, especially whenever they are presented to you through certain relationships. So this could, for example, look like a certain committed relationship or a business partnership, where you can kind of sense, okay, this person isn't really listening to me, or they're not really trying to see where I'm coming from here, or I can see where things are not so balanced right now, or where I'm kind of not being appreciated or seen either, right? With the sun in the seventh. So if or when this kind of happens, or if you feel like you're being devalued or undermined in some way, I do think that there's a part of you that can kind of come from a place of, I've had enough, and these are my limits, and I'm not doing this anymore. And again, I think this is all very much about a build up. There's just something about building and building and building, and then there's a climax, and then there's a this maybe this push to change, right? To transform, to grow, to recognize, actually nip that in the bud, like nip it in the bud before it goes on. And I also just want to mention with this as well, these planets are opposing Saturn. Okay. So you actually have Saturn retrograde in Taurus. And so you're not going to go through your first Saturn return for another few years. But that Saturn energy opposing this Sun Venus energy, maybe this is also looking at how and where you're going to grow up. You're really going to grow up and you're going to mature when it comes to this relationship stuff that I talk about. I think especially coming up to your first Saturn return, and even especially after it, I think you're going to mature in such a way where it's like, no, these are my values and this is my worth, and this is the line, basically. But it's also coming from a place of, okay, yes, it's also about a relationship. It's also about, okay, how can we sort of find a bit of a common ground here? Maybe you will really mature and discipline yourself when it comes to negotiation and agreements and contracts, as you do get older. Okay. That was Jenna. Thank you so much, Jenna. Let me just come out of this. What am I doing? Oh, Jenna. I hope you find it to be helpful. Yes, Jenna, that was something I was going to say. Because you're saying about therapy. Yeah, we can see this, especially with Chiron in the eighth house. There it can suggest, like therapy, and even with the moon as well, with Mercury, it's like talking through your emotions. Yeah, that is definitely a thought that came to my mind whenever I was reading for you there. Okay, so thank you very much, Jenna. Now we're going to move on to Tracy. And Tracy, were you born then on the 9th of October? Is that correct? 1980. Sorry. Please, Hannah, don't have the hiccups. I might actually have a short break after this reading, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 left. I definitely took more than the max today, but hey, everyone, you were wanting them today. So Tracy, 7:53. Oh, it's AM. And other MT. I am curious. Is MT Montana? Is that Montana, Tracy? Hold on, let me go over. Okay, yeah, 9th of October, and then yes, you said okay. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you. 9th of October. Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. So, Tracy, let me just get my timer. Okay. Okay, Tracy, let's do this. Okay, Tracy. Right. So, first and foremost, what is jumping out at me is the fact that you have all of this Libra energy happening in the first house. Okay, so you've got Mars there, the Sun is there, the ascendant, which is right with the Sun, and Also, you've got Black Moon Lilith and Juno also there. Okay. So to me, what is coming up is how you can come across as this relationship orientated leader and as someone worth paying attention to as well. You may walk into a room and like really shine, and the qualities of yourself that shine the most, is that of being quite kind and thoughtful and cooperative, and even coming across as quite sweet, and as someone who, you're you're not really going to cause any drama or any discord. I think you want to keep the peace, and you want to make sure that like people are enjoying themselves, the mood is set, people are feeling good, and maybe you also go out of your way in order to like shine the light on other people, right? You go out of your way to make other people feel good and to entertain them. And you can also come across as quite social, right? Quite social, quite friendly, and perhaps as well quite relatable. Like you can sort of find the common ground or like the relatability between you and others, where it's sort of like, oh well, you like this, and oh my gosh, I like that as well, or oh, you've been there, oh well, we went there one time. And yeah, so that to me is just a very inviting energy, right? And even with Juno as well conjunct Mars, this is also highlighting that you're someone, you like to initiate within relationships. This could be where, yes, okay, how you initiate is quite subtle, and it's not so like forceful. It's not so pushy, I suppose you could say. But there is like an ability to like strike up that conversation, or to step into that discussion in a way, or to make something happen. Now, of course, the thing about this is Mercury is there in Virgo and it's in the 12th house. So maybe, we're talking about like discussions, and we're thinking here about conversations and communication tied to Mercury. There is also something quite hesitating about discussions too. There's something about, I just want to wait for the perfect moment. I want to make sure that it's at the right time. And I think perhaps you're big into manners, like being polite, being kind of courteous and like reasonable, and knowing, right, okay, this is what suits within this thing, but this not so much, and maybe a lot of this like inner stuff is what drives or subconsciously drives what you do outwardly amongst other people. You may even come across as this host, right? As a host, or as someone who is really willing to help and providing practical advice, etc. But the thing with Mercury in the 12th is that it's almost like there's a lot of that stuff happening in the subconscious, and it's there. It's just like you're just waiting for that moment to share it, or to be sort of invited in. Maybe in the past, whenever you have sort of just went in kind of thing, maybe it's felt a little bit like, oh, it's a bit much. And maybe you've kind of learned how to navigate things or to do things in a certain way. And in a way where actually you do feel, do you know what? Yeah, like people get it, or people are accepting my advice, they're accepting my help, like go me, I'm awesome. And then the other thing I want to say is that perhaps if we think about how the 12th house is related to our resting state, it's related to sleep, maybe whenever you're alone, you really do try to rest your mind as much as possible. Now, your mind could very well accelerate quite a bit whenever you're alone. Or maybe it's that you can just be flooded with many kind of thoughts, or maybe these thoughts can be kind of self-deprecating and worrisome, and maybe you do in this way worry quite a bit about people in your life, and maybe you can pick yourself apart a little bit in this way. But I'd still say, with this, of course, Mercury is exalted in Virgo. I would still say with this that, whenever you feel inspired and when you're alone in this way, you're just like coming from this stream of consciousness, and just everything comes out. Like you could just write a book, for example, or write a complete essay, about how you're feeling or about your day. And maybe it's the little things in life as well that you tend to kind of reflect on and contemplate over. And so maybe in this way, at the end of each day, you're like, how can I improve, or what did I learn from today, and how can I be better and stuff. So yeah, I would say that these are certain qualities that show up with these placements. But then the other thing I want to mention, of course, is let's think about how so let's think about these squares. Okay, so there's squares to, so I'd say Mars is making a square to Saturn, and then also say Mercury is making a square to Uranus in the fourth. So you've got Saturn, Neptune, Vesta, and Uranus all there in the fourth. Okay, I think there are big themes surrounding reparenting yourself and surrounding nurturing yourself. And these things were very much brought up to the surface more and more and more so from around about 2018 to 2020, or 2017 to 2020, when Saturn was in Capricorn and you, of course, went through your first Saturn return. And so maybe there was something about like redefining who you are in an emotional way and looking at how it is that you nurture yourself, and how it is that you can support yourself and build yourself up slowly and gradually. We even see here, of course, the secondary progressed. Venus is there in Capricorn as well in the fourth house. So there just seems to be something here about um, how it is that you can experience greater softness and gentleness toward your own emotional needs. And we even see this with Neptune, especially. Okay, Neptune is also there. Maybe there's something about, dissolving. There's something here about allowing and surrendering. And perhaps as well, we're noticing just how like full on and chaotic and explosive your upbringing was, right? This to me is shown through the fact that Uranus is there, and there's also the opposition to Ceres in Cancer, and then Jupiter is also making that opposition to Saturn, and Chiron's also making this opposition there. Well, it's opposing the Capricorn energy, perhaps not by degree, but there's still significant shifts. And what I mean by this is, maybe for you, a lot of what you're working through is, the past, a lot of like breaking of emotional family cycles and patterns and sort of habits that might have really strongly limited you or confined you in the past. But maybe Mercury square Uranus is looking to these major mental breakthroughs which perhaps have not been the easiest or the most comfortable, but breakthroughs nonetheless, where it is more so about, okay, um, that wasn't fair, or that wasn't right, or maybe there's something I need to make peace with here, or this is how things played out, and I had to take responsibility, and I was so young. So there's just something very sensitive about this energy. And I think a lot of it has to do with how it is that you can like fall apart in a way, or like heal, or like address particular family wounds. And the other thing I want to mention, of course, is so there's all these secondary progressions in Scorpio, right? The ascendant, the sun, Mercury there as well, Mars. So this is actually suggesting to me that, over the past number of years, oh my goodness, how much you have changed as a person, how much you have evolved past certain patterns and cycles, and also how much you have transformed when it comes to your self-worth and valuing yourself, and like, you know, really coming from a place of that compassion. And that's the thing, of course, Scorpio energy can be highly compassionate as well. But yeah, I would just say that, there have been major psychological and emotional shifts that have occurred, and these things are tied to your self-worth and tied even to your physical security, tied to your belongings. And maybe with Pluto, especially there, it is highlighting how it is that you can, just let me stop and finish my point. how it is that you can, step into a position of power in this way, recognizing your personal power. And there was just one more thing I just want to mention. Of course, your moon is also in Aquarius, just to highlight. And then with your moon also being in Aquarius in the 5th house, you're a free thinker. We see this with Uranus in the 4th house too, but you're a free thinker. You're someone who you go against the grain, you go against the norm, and it's more about having a strong mind and thinking more so about what sets you apart as an individual. We even see this with the North Node in the 5th house, which has been a big part of your life path. Okay. Tracy, thank you so much. And Alexander, I'm just going to get your information ready. Thank you so much, Tracy. Alexander, can you please send me your birth information? Please and thank you. Oh, awesome. Thank you. General reading. What sticks out? Okay, you want Placidus. No problem. No problem. I'm definitely going to get a cup of tea after your reading, Alexander. And then there's 6 left. If we go to chart selection. Okay. Radio. Yes. I was like, oh, I'm only taking 12, but here we are. Oh, thank you so much for booking today. And yeah, let me know if you would like another. We'll see. Yes, I will get a cup of tea right after I have done yours, Alexander. Right, let's let's do this. Okay, let's go. Okay, so Alexander. Right, so first and foremost, what is jumping out at me is, okay, you actually have Black Moon Lilith in Libra in the 1st house. And there is also this Capricorn energy happening here in the 4th house. So you have Capricorn in the IC, then you also have Saturn here home in Capricorn in the 4th, it's retrograde, along with Neptune retrograde conjunct. Okay, now, of course, with this, the orb is quite wide between Black Moon Lilith and this energy, but I'm still going to suggest with this that with Black Moon Lilith, it can suggest that there have been real challenging situations and concerns to do with your independence, to do with your autonomy, to do with your individuality. And a big part of this Black Moon Lilith experience and journey for you is that of liberating yourself, okay? Is that of freeing yourself, and addressing as well any sort of inner demons or any um real like difficult emotions here, buried emotions here to do with relationships and so basically how it is that you relate to other people, but how these things in a way are connected in, well, in with this Capricorn energy. Of course, like I said, Saturn is there, retrograde, and then there's also this Neptune energy. So this can suggest a lack of boundaries, a lack of knowing what the rules are, I suppose, or inconsistent rules or unfair, wishy-washy, distorted rules within the home. We're noticing like invisible qualities as well. And we're noticing the dissolving of certain boundaries or just not really having any structure or any foundation at all in this way. But I think your Saturn return, of course, your Saturn return would have occurred there from around about 2017 to 2020. Maybe that Saturn return for you really did like wake you up and make you realize a lot of things to do with um, your own emotional needs and how it is that you can come from a place of emotional security. And there's just like this rebuilding process, I guess you could say. And with also what we're noticing, these oppositions to the sun and to Chiron in Cancer. And the sun and Chiron are the same degree, okay? And both of them are 8 degrees. So I would say that this is even more so highlighting just how much um, this is a healing journey to do with you being your own authority. This is a healing journey to do with your own emotional, your emotional body. This is about how you can feel and allowing yourself to feel. This is about how you nurture yourself. But it's also, I think, about how this is a process. Like this is a long-term process. This is like a life's mission, a life's work type of thing. When it comes to the 10th house, it really does take time. And it also correlates more with like later stages in life. And it's also about what we become known for. And it's also about our reputation. So, maybe for you, this is a long process of you having to like go within, having to address the past, having to like, open up old wounds. And I'm sure it's exhausting. I'm sure it can be really very tiring in this way. For you, Alexander. And then the other thing I want to mention, of course, is you've got Pallas there in Aries. There's all this cardinal energy being activated for you within this like cardinal grand cross, if you will. And so I think with Pallas there being in Aries in the 7th house, it's highlighting how it is that you can be strategic and be creative when it comes to this independent stuff, when it comes to being a leader within relationships. And maybe there is something that's actually very difficult about this, because perhaps what you notice as you try to strive for some type of independence and freedom is the past just it keeps coming back, or there's other things that you need to overcome, or there's this uphill battle energy. This is what I'm getting from this. Of course, Pallas is also making a square to Saturn. And what I further want to mention, of course, is you've got Venus there and Mars, both in Leo, right? And you also have the secondary progressed Sun, Mars, and Venus in Leo, the midheaven too. You've also you're starting to come out of this secondary progressed period of the moon being in Leo. So, oh my goodness, what this is suggesting to me is that, my gosh, you've really been focusing a lot on your confidence and your self-assurance and how it is that you put yourself out there, especially when it comes to professional matters, when it comes to um, matters related to the public or recognition as well. Looking at how you can strive for greatness in this way, or even just looking at how you can align yourself with something that's more enjoyable and satisfying to you. And it's more pleasurable in a way. I just feel as if so much of your direction here, given the progressions, is about you reconnecting with your joy, right? Connecting with joy, connecting with play, connecting with your innocence. I also feel as if the inner child is coming up here. And like I said, coming away from the secondary progressed moon and Leo period, maybe this has been a 2.5 year period of you re-exploring your inner child and what makes you feel good and your creativity in this way. And oh my gosh, the remarkable thing about this, of course, is the North Node is in the fifth house, right? You could perhaps say that this is quite paradoxical because, the South Node is then in the 11th house in Leo, right? But maybe the North Node in the fifth house in Aquarius is actually saying, maybe this is about you trying to integrate or welcome greater qualities of like, do you know what, this is a quirk about mine, like this is a quirk that I have, this is something quite maybe unusual, or maybe people can perceive it as strange or weird or whatever, but it's actually going, do you know what, yeah, like whatever, I like that about me and I appreciate that about me, and it's what makes me an individual. And maybe this is even related to your interests, it's related to your passions and the things that you enjoy in life, right? And maybe a big part of the North Node journey for you is that of, moving toward the things that you do enjoy and the things that do light you up in this way. But of course, when it comes to the nodes, there's also an element of balance in this way. Um, and it's also trying to be cautious of like falling into um this too, like being too overly concerned about the self or being seen or being recognized, or like thirsty for the validation, like I need people to see me and recognize me. Maybe it's also trying to assess and analyze, where's that coming from. And maybe a big part of it is tied to this Sun conjunct Chiron stuff, right? The Sun, of course, being the dispositor of the South Node for you. So yeah, this Sun conjunct Chiron stuff could be okay. Perhaps you were overlooked, or you were overseen, or there were struggles and there were real like challenges to do with family, and especially looking to the mother relationship, seeing as the Sun is in Cancer and the Cancer rules the mother within astrology. So it's a lot of this is to do with revisiting the past. And I think a lot of it as well is, looking at breaking certain patterns and cycles. And of course, the moon is also the dispositor of the Sun and Chiron there, and the moon is in Taurus. So that moon in the eighth house in Taurus, it can really look at the extremes of your emotions and just how deeply you feel. But it's also about recognizing that you shouldn't be ashamed for feeling how you feel either. And maybe as well, it's about how it is that you tap into your body, right? How you ground yourself, how you center yourself. Maybe this is a big part of your, self-discovery journey, your life path, is that of, how it is that you can support yourself and hold yourself and comfort yourself, and even just finding something that, aligns with like a pleasure, or something quite calming as well, something where there's serenity, and making sure that like you're basically pouring into yourself in this really emotional way. But yeah, perhaps a lot of it is also to do with your body. Okay, Alexander, so that was 10 minutes. I hope you find it to be helpful. Thank you so much. And I'm going to get the next person set, and then I'm just going to grab a cup of tea, because you can probably hear from my voice I'm a little bit like Okay, Gabriella. We have another Gabriella. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Keith. This is for Keith. This is for Keith, and this is a transit reading? Uh-huh, okay. Got it. Yeah. Transit reading, so April 20th. Three, oh, five. Um, Brooklyn, New York. Three oh 5 a.m. Is Keith here? Are you in the audience? Are you here? And this is a transit reading. Okay. I'm just going to go and grab a quick cup of tea and then I'll be back. Okay. Please hold. I wish I had a little thing to show, but I don't. But I'll be right back. I just need to get some tea. Hello. I am back. Oh, hello everyone. I'm back and I have tea. By the way, seeing as Aquarius season is right around the corner, we're all my Aquarians at. I don't think I got a reading so far from an Aquarius. Well, by Aquarius, I always mean like the sun is in that sign. It's very warm. It is. Tea is love. And I do like coffee more though. I do love coffee, but I only have 2 a day. I also have chocolate. Does anybody else love chocolate? Oh, what am I like? So I drink it's just like black tea with a bit of milk. Yeah. And I don't take any sugar, but I do have chocolate. Espresso. I love espresso, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is Swiss chocolate as well. I would love to go to Switzerland, but it's so expensive. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure Switzerland is one of the most expensive countries in the world. Okay. Oh, it's so good. It's so yummy. Oh, yeah, it's so expensive. Oh, you have a Christmas stocking. Oh, it has a chocolate bar in it. Okay. Oh, warms my soul. Okay, so Keith, you are next. You are next. Thank you for being here, by the way, everyone. You seem to really like these. It's good fun. It's a good time. Okay, Keith. Right, so this is going to be okay, replay. Of course. Well, Keith, this is up for you whenever you're on, just to let you know. And this is transit reading as requested. Okay. Just get my timer. Okay, let's go. Okay, so for you, Keith, what we're actually noticing here is something quite notable to do with Jupiter. So right now in the sky, Jupiter is in Taurus, and it is actually making a conjunction to your sun and also your north node in Taurus. And of course, you have this south node in Scorpio in the 9th. So there's an opposition as well between the south node and Jupiter. So I feel as if Jupiter here is highlighting something freeing and something expansive and uplifting with respect to how it is that you communicate, and communicating in such a way where you're pleasing, you are also concerned about researching, and from what I'm learning, maybe there's something about money being involved in this, or some type of fortune, or some type of prosperity. But then this could also just be more about a mindset, like a mindset change or a mindset shift, or enhancing the ways in which that you think about yourself and life and your worldviews, and your beliefs could also be coming up here, especially if we consider how Jupiter is opposite the South Node in the ninth house, and the ninth house, is traditionally ruled by Jupiter. It could be that, you're actually going through what feels like an awakening of some sorts, or like a real like harsh change to do with your deeply held beliefs and your worldviews. And we even further see this through Uranus, right? So of course, Uranus has been transiting your third house for a number of years, and Uranus would have made that conjunction with the sun in the North Node as well a few years back. So that could have been quite shaky, like a shaking up energy, um, like a breakthrough, or a major aha moment, or these like these flashes of insight, these flashes of insight that came in this almost like um lightning speed, where it's like, oh my gosh, these are the thoughts that I've been having, or these are the types of relationships that I have, even with siblings and with my cousins. And I can see more clearly now how much I value such relationships, or how much these relationships as well, they in a way challenge my own beliefs about myself, and about how I view the world. And I just feel as if, especially with a lot of this, so you've got Neptune also retrograde there in the ninth house, and you also have Vesta retrograde in the ninth house in Scorpio. So there's something dissolving, about your beliefs, and there's something perhaps even quite addictive or obsessive, or seeing where the lines are blurred as well. This could, to me, kind of looks like you hanging on to somebody else's word, and being so caught up in like a religion, or a spiritual way of living, or feeling super, super attached or disillusioned by a certain belief system, possibly, or even having to really deal with certain legal matters, to do with shared resources and shared accounts. But there's just like a confusing energy, or I am going to follow this person's every command, or their word. And this is where I want to actually explore the midheaven, and I want to explore Sagittarius energy in the chart. I want to explore the moon as well. I can't help but think, Keith, that especially with all of this, like Sagittarius energy transiting your 10th house, I can't help but think that so much is coming up here to do with your moral compass, to do with what your code of ethics is. And also considering here how such matters are linked to the past, or they're linked to childhood, or looking specifically at the relationship that you had with your mother. And maybe there's some serious like identity shifts in this way, or identity battles, or having to address certain identity scars and wounds. Even here, we even see this through Chiron, which is making a square to the moon as well. And you've got Chiron in Pisces, and you've also got a Pisces rising. So if we're to kind of like combine all of this energy together, even considering how Neptune is one of your chart rulers, okay, and then the transit of Jupiter is there as well, like we said, with the North Node and the Sun, and then Jupiter is also the other chart ruler. If we're to combine all this energy, to me, it seems like a big part of your life path, a big part of your direction is really like discovering and trying to figure out who you are in a lot of ways, and looking to a certain spiritual wound, or something that could have been used as a way to make you believe, right? To make you believe in a certain um person's way of viewing the world, perhaps being manipulated, or being directed in a way that actually didn't suit your needs at all. And the other major thing about this, I suppose, is, this can feel like you're separated, right? Like there's a wound to do with separation. There's something helpless here. There's something hopeless here. But this, the thing about Chiron, of course, is that this is so much about like healing and so much about addressing your wounds, addressing your pain and your suffering. And maybe a lot of this is to do with um, your own spiritual essence. And I want to mention as well, you have went through your Chiron return. Now, that was a few years ago. And I feel as if your Chiron return, it was like a cracking open here of the self, like um having to like really dig into old wounds and old triggers as well, and having to face yourself in this respect. And the other major thing I want to mention for you, Keith, is your second Saturn return is going to come up. Okay, so that's actually coming up in the next couple of years for you. And that second Saturn return, of course, you've got Saturn in Aries. I feel as if these next few years are preparing you for this next stage. Okay. And what I kind of want to say with this is the Saturn energy in the second house can point toward these these setbacks and these delays and these limitations to do with feelings of worthiness, to do with your own value system, to do with how it is that you value yourself as a leader, especially as a pioneer, as someone who, you can direct yourself. There's just something to me, it's almost like you have been throughout your life really building upon your own strength and your own character and your own moral code, and aligning yourself, with what it is that you truly think and what it is that you truly feel. And then the other thing, of course, is the North Node has been transiting that second house along with Chiron. And these celestial bodies are going to join up and they're going to conjunct. And this is going to be February, February of this year. And that's going to be very close to your Black Moon Lilith. I feel like this is really going to be a real crack to the ego. This is really going to open you up. And I think a lot of it has to do with you got to be courageous here. You got to face, your fears head on and be like, come on, like what is holding you back here? It's almost like a push, right? This force, and this will, this strength within you that says, you know what, I'm not going to give up on myself. And maybe a lot of this even has to do with your finances right now, your physical security right now, how it is that you provide for yourself as well. And let's also explore how. So let's actually turn our attention to the Pluto energy. I think that that's something significant because, of course, this is a transit reading. So Pluto is going to re-enter Aquarius on the 20th of January, and that's going to be in your 12th house. And then what's going to happen is that the Sun, Mars, Mercury, Venus, even the Moon, they're all going to join up with Pluto at one point, from January through to like February time. So I think that that is going to be a real wake up call for you. That is going to be a great opportunity for you to dive deeper into your psyche, for you to explore anything that's buried or hidden in this way, and to also, let me just finish my thought, to also perhaps address anything that holds you back, like looking at any self undoing, looking at anything that keeps you back from, really striving in life and going after the things that you do want. And maybe a big part of this is getting out of your own way. Okay, so that was for you, Keith. Of course, there is more we could say. There is more we could say, but that was your 10 minutes. Thank you so much. And we go here. Now, let's have a look. Thank you so, so much. Thank you to Keith and to Gabriella. Thank you. And then is it Pikes? Pikes, can you please send me your birth information because I don't have it in on this I don't have it sent through. Are you with us? And if nobody is here and you haven't given me your birth information, we can keep it here for next time, of course. Are you here? Pikes, Pikes, are you here? I can move on to the next person and then we can come back to you. I can do that. And then when you're here, if you get this message, just please send over your birth information. I'm going to need your time of birth, place of birth, date of birth. Hello, Summer. Welcome. Okay, we're going to move on then to Crystal. Okay, information about your creativity and your hobbies. Okay. Crystal, are you here? I'm going to need your birth information as well. I need these things. Is Crystal here? I can, what I could do if those who have booked and you have not. Okay, I need Pikes and I need Crystal. Oh, you're Crystal. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you, Crystal. Oh, and Pike, you're here as well. Okay, both of you, please and thank you. Send me your birth information. Okay. Please send me your birth information. I need your date of birth, your time of birth, your place of birth. Okay. Pikes and Crystal, I need this information. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, cool. Oh, cool. So would you like me to address you as Cassio or as Crystal? Seeing as this is the online world. Okay. Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you, Pikes. Oh two oh seven. Is that AM? 0206, sorry, in the morning. And that's okay, Cassio. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Can you just if you don't mind, Cassio, can you just confirm the second name under the PayPal? Can you confirm the second name, please? What I have? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And can you also please send me, did you already do that? Send me your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. I need that information. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through with Pikes and then we'll move on to yours. Um, we'll move on to yours, Casio. Casio. Thank you for confirming. Oh, I got it. Okay, I'm going to take it down right now. Um, okay. Okay, so just to let you know, of course, these are 10-minute readings. They are more based on, okay, what jumps out at me? What can I see within the 10-minute mark? But if you are interested in booking a reading with me, which is going to be much more in detail and depth, then you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. Okay. Yes, got that. Got that, Casio. Brilliant. Thank you. Okay. So, Pikes, let's do this. Okay, so for you, what is jumping out at me here is the fact that, okay, so your sun is in Capricorn. Happy birthday, by the way, for the next few days, over the next few days. So you've got your sun in Capricorn. You've also got Mercury there in Capricorn, and Mercury is making a same degree opposition as the moon in Cancer. Okay, so there's something counteracting about this energy. There's like a push-pull dynamic going on. But it's also about how you can make these parts of yourself kind of work as a team, or how they can cooperate in some way. So I would say that with having such strong energy in the third house here in Capricorn, I think that you're someone who, you can come across as you know what you're talking about. And you also may prefer to enter a field of study where you can really improve and you can build on your skills and you can show dedication. You can also persevere as well. You may actually experience these setbacks and these limitations and these hardships when it comes to what you learn. But that is all part of this Capricorn journey for you, okay? So this is very much about how you build upon character, you build upon strengths. This is about how you showcase resilience, even in the face of adversity. And the other thing I want to say is that, you could have this very um, focus mindset, or quite stern, or no nonsense as well. And then I further want to mention that this could look like you acting as some type of authority, or as a type of leader, if you will, when it comes to your siblings, when it comes to your cousins. So this could have looked like you having to look after your siblings whenever you were younger, for instance. You having to kind of step into more of a parental role, I suppose you could say. But I do think that there is something parenting about how you communicate as well, and about how you come across. I think that you you can give off this very protective energy as well. We even further see this through you having the moon in Cancer, and that moon in Cancer energy is very protective. And maybe there's something here about kind of shielding your own emotions, or having to protect your own emotions, or knowing when to use your emotions in a more efficient, effective way, or being somewhat more practical minded when it comes to your emotions. But the thing about this is that this can point toward how you could very well hold a lot in. You could sort of contain a lot of emotion in this way, even though deep down, like, you want to say the thing, or you want to share how you're really feeling. I mean, the moon in the ninth house can suggest that there are these like big emotional attachments to a deeply held belief, or there are these big attachments to a certain moral compass of yours, toward even like a travel experience, or to a way of like exploring. And so, because you have these big attachments, um, maybe you do feel a lot of the times like, oh, I feel so heavily about this. I feel so deeply about this. And of course, this is intensified with the fact that you have, or by the fact that you have a Scorpio rising, as well as Pluto in the first house. But like I said, I suppose the slight challenge in this is that you could keep so much within, right? You can keep so much that's like, you can hold so much back, basically. And maybe this can lead to suppression, right? This can lead to denying your true feelings within certain situations. Now, this is, of course, I'm not necessarily saying that this is all bad or all negative. I mean, I also think that this is a part of you that says time and place, right? And I think that this is where we notice how these energies can work together, right? They can be on the same team, if you will. But here is the thing about it. Of course, you've got Gemini in the eighth house, and Chiron is also there in the eighth house. And Mercury, of course, is the dispositor of this Chiron, and Mercury is making that opposition to the moon. Plus, we notice that Black Moon Lilith is making an opposition to Neptune. So, I think that this Chiron energy in the eighth is really pointing toward um, the real like triggers that occur, or the real sensitive points to do with communication matters, psychological matters. And I think that this is looking at these buried emotions within you. And again, I think a lot of these things are related to communication, and maybe especially looking to how other people have treated you in the past when it comes to communication. We're seeing here that Chiron is also making an opposition to Saturn as well. So is it to be suggested here, Pikes, that there have been quite stern discussions, especially with a father figure throughout your life, or maybe you have had to kind of face uh, uncomfortable emotions and feelings regarding a father figure relationship, and especially how this relationship was limited, or maybe your father was quite chaotic, or uh, would lash out, or would be very surprising and jarring in a lot of ways. Or maybe there was something about you having to really reparent yourself. So there seems to be something disconnecting or distant about the father. But this could also look like there's being something distant regarding your self-worth. And so I feel as if, your first Saturn return, so that would have been between around 2016, no, 2015 to 17, around that. I can double check the dates, but yeah, when Saturn was in Sagittarius around that time period, you went through your Saturn return. And so maybe what was shaken up for you was having to address these intellectual wounds, these communication wounds, these sibling wounds as well, and how such matters as well are tied to your own security, your own inner security in this respect, and how you've had to kind of provide for yourself or make it on your own, and how it is that you've had to reparent yourself and nurture yourself, especially with Ceres being there, plus Venus as well, as a part of it. And so yeah, something just about well, really, the kind of the pleasantness and the love, and the security here, coming up. And also, I just want to mention with this that, of course, the North Node is in Aries. So you're actually going through a nodal return right now. And then you have Mars in Vesta as well. So with this nodal return, especially with Chiron coming into the equation, to me, it just seems like this is really about how you can direct your life in a more motivating, encouraging way when it comes to work, possibly when it comes to your health as well. And yes, this is also pointing towards some type of um, limitation or restrictions. Of course, the North Node is also making that trine to Saturn, but this is big, like growing up energy. I think of Saturn as really like this growing up part of ourselves, and how we can discipline ourselves, and how we can just really show up for ourselves in a more practical way. And so maybe being able to do so here, when it comes to your health, and even when it comes to daily habits and rituals and routines. And Mars, of course, being at home in Aries as well, is really highlighting that, you have these leadership qualities within you, right? You have these bold go-getter qualities. And I think, a big part of this North Node journey for you is, really moving into a space where you recognize, I can do this. I have what it takes. I have, fought for myself throughout so much of my life. And Mars, even being the chart ruler for you, of course, Mars, well, one of the chart rulers, Mars, is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. That is very much pointing toward a major theme, a major area within your life. And it's so much about like, okay, it's time to take the lead. Like, it's time to put myself first, right? It's time to, look at how I can redirect my life, and consider, what it is that I want in this way. And perhaps as well, a big part of this is linked to your financial position and how you earn money, etc. as well, given the fact that you have the Sagittarius energy in the second house. Okay, so that was for you, Pegs. Thank you so much. Yeah. Let me see. Melanie, your reading has been done. So you'll be able to find it in the replay. Okay? You'll be able to find it in the replay. So Cassio, let's do this. (29th of October). A lot of Pisces risings are getting readings today. Interesting. Wonder if it has anything to do with Saturn. Okay, so you want information about creativity and hobbies. Okay, so we'll first do this 10-minute reading and then we will look to the hobbies question that you asked as well. Okay. Cassio. We've been here for 3 hours, folks. Thanks for being here. Do you know what? It's been a good time. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so Cassio. Okay, so if we look to this general reading to begin with, all right, so what is jumping out at me is the fact that you have this huge, like, Scorpio energy, the Scorpio activation within your ninth house. Okay, so you've got the Sun in Scorpio there, Mars as well, home in Scorpio. You've got Pluto also home in Scorpio, double whammy, and you've got Mercury and Pallas. Okay, my goodness, Cassio, you are someone who shows so much drive and dedication and willpower toward the things that you share, toward the things that you broadcast and that you publish. And there's always something that, you know, you're willing to learn, and there's always more research that you're willing to do, and you're always willing to like dig deeper into things and to investigate more. You're someone who leaves no stone unturned, right? Especially whenever you are deeply, deeply passionate and deeply moved by a certain um, topic or by a certain subject. And also there's like this continuous seeking energy, right? There's always like this ability to want to read more into and more deeply into in an area of interest for you. And I would say that there's great staying power actually when it comes to you, you know, real great staying power. You commit to a certain vision, you commit to a certain plan. And, you know, Palace as well, you know, looks at our creative intelligence. And you're actually going through your Palace return at the minute because Palace is in Scorpio in the sky. So, you know, maybe there's been a lot of like fresh perspectives and fresh insights that have been coming up for you recently. And these fresh perspectives are related to something I would say quite profound, and possibly, you know, looking to sharing the truth or exposing people for who they are, and just, yeah, bringing the truth to light. And like I said, your creative intelligence, it's, I think this is suggesting that like you can like home in on a certain area, and it's like, okay, you can pull so much from it. And there's also the ability with you to back up what you're doing, right? To back up what you're presenting with research and facts and solid like information, I would say, with Mercury there being in Scorpio. And the other thing about it, of course, is Mercury is making a lovely sextile to Venus, and you've got Venus there in Virgo. That Venus and Virgo energy, it's like, okay, like let's improve this, let's polish this up, like let's make it look good, let's actually perfect it. Okay. And also this is pointing toward just how far you're willing to go when it comes to the research that you do. But it's also about, you know, breaking things apart, breaking them down, and seeing how they work and seeing how they function. And there's such a curiosity, I think, in this way with you. But there's also such a beautiful way that you do it. And there's also a clean way that you do it. I just kind of see this as you being able to sort of, hypothetically speaking, wrap things up in a lovely bow and tie it all together really nice. And it's, you know, it's presented in a really like polished way, essentially. Even with Jupiter there too, right? So if you think about Jupiter, of course, Jupiter is the dispositor of your midheaven, right? So Jupiter there being in Virgo, yes, Jupiter is in detriment whenever it's in Virgo, but Jupiter in Virgo can suggest that, you are someone who you can see the bigger picture when it comes to the little things, or you can kind of appreciate that the little things, the little tweaks, the little changes make up the greater whole. And you can also kind of share your wisdom through a place of detail. Right. So this could show up within business, for example. This could show up within collaborations. This could show up within certain relationships. Maybe you're the type of person who you're willing to point out the obvious to people, right? You're willing to kind of point out maybe what's not working or what can be improved. And maybe a lot of the times you don't really get the reception that you're looking for, or the feedback, the positive, affirming feedback that you're looking for. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because, Jupiter is opposing the ascendant. And, in terms of oppositions, it could kind of feel like, people are just used to you being a certain way, right? And maybe that certain way is like, Pisces rising. It's just sort of like, Pisces rising may be more impressionable, or more agreeable in this way, or maybe a little bit more passive, more go with the flow. But actually, your chart ruler, one of your chart rulers being Jupiter, then being in Virgo opposite, is actually saying, no, there's a big part of you that is actually willing to make those corrections. And, even with all your Scorpio energy added into this, of course, Jupiter's making those sextiles to the sun and Mars. This also suggests that you're a force to be reckoned with, right? You have so much of this emotionally charged energy to you, and it can really, come out. And maybe it comes out a lot through the knowledge that you share, and through the wisdom that you wish to present to the world as well. And what I find interesting actually about you, Cassio, is the fact that, you've got a Pisces rising, then you have your sun in Scorpio, and then you also have your moon in Cancer, actually. So these water activations within the chart, and to have your moon in Cancer, this to me suggests that you're someone who, you're very much about how you look after your emotional needs. I think that you can be quite quick to recognize when things don't really feel right to you, and where things do feel limited as well, especially. And we even see this through the moon in Cancer making an opposition to Saturn, right? So Saturn's actually in Aquarius, it's in the 12th house. So I kind of see this as you, maybe even with the squares to the Scorpio energy, you being able to kind of recognize, oh my gosh, I'm really overextending, or like I'm really giving so much of myself to this position, or to this belief, or to this way of learning and sharing information. But I think Saturn there then suggests that it's so vital and it's so necessary for you to unplug, unplug, recharge, recalibrate, recenter yourself, do a lot of like contemplation, really go within and set perhaps healthy boundaries for yourself, discipline yourself when it comes to such matters. I think this is even necessary given the fact that you have this Pisces rising. Pisces rising can be quite open in this way. And so maybe that Saturn energy in the 12th can kind of point toward some healthy limitations for you. But it can also suggest that, with Saturn in the 12th, it can suggest that there can be a great deal of suffering, especially whenever you're on your own, right? Whenever you are away from the public eye, maybe a lot of people don't actually see what you struggle with and what you battle with on a daily basis, or what kind of things you're left with at the end of the day. And, maybe in this way, your Saturn return between 2020 and 2023, it was a big opportunity for you to go within and to kind of think about, why am I feeling this way? And why do I feel blocked? And why do I feel limited? And why am I afraid of being judged for certain feelings and emotions? And how can I trust, even, trusting myself? And maybe trust is a big part of this for you, actually, right? Because we see here with the squares to the sun and Mars, so the squares to Saturn, maybe trust is a big part of this. And trust is something that you are having to kind of come to terms with. For example, why it is that you may find it difficult to trust other people, or maybe there's something here about needing to establish greater intimacy and greater trust, and that those two things are kind of built at the same time together. And perhaps at the same time, whilst all of this is going on, you've got, of course, the North Node, which is in Capricorn, and then the South Node is in Cancer, and then you also have Uranus and Neptune and Juno as well, and Black Moon Lilith in Capricorn. So, we're talking about the trust stuff, and the thing is that Black Moon Lilith is making this sextile to Pluto in Scorpio. So is it to be suggested here that you have experienced some sort of like rejection or ridicule, or like you've been shunned in some shape or form by friends, by people who you thought were your friends, or by people who were supposed to be on your team, on your side? And there's been many quite abrasive events in this way. And maybe the North Node in Capricorn is teaching you a lot about your own responsibility, your responsibility when it comes to the types of people that you do associate yourself, and even just finding people, right, who you can build with, and who are mature, and who are actually loving and kind people. We even see here that Neptune is making that conjunction to the North Node. Okay, so that was the 10-minute Casio. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double check the question that you asked me, and then I'll answer your question. So you said information about your creativity and hobbies, and how and why you lead online communities. Okay, interesting. Online communities. So you said that how and why you lead online communities. So like I said, you have the North Node in the 11th house, right? And it's in Capricorn. So there does seem to be this like authority energy, I suppose you could say, when it comes to communities. And of course, the 11th house looks at communities, it looks at teams, it looks at groups, it looks at the online space as well. So I feel as if, with Neptune especially being there conjunct the North Node, Neptune can look at fantasy, it can look at film, it can look at media, glitz and glam, this type of stuff, imagination. So if you really think about it, that North Node conjunction with Neptune is highlighting you being in a position of like a professional position, basically, a professional position or a position of authority, where it's within a otherworldly space, let's just say, right? And it's about like storytelling, or um it's about art, it's about being poetic, it's about being romantic, it's about having this vision. And I find it interesting, that you said that with Casio, that is like a name that you have for the online space. To me, then that kind of seems like a different identity, right? And that's the thing about Neptune. It dissolves the ego, if you will. And Neptune can look at disguises, and Neptune can look at our alter ego, perhaps. So to have that there with the North Node, it really does suggest to me that what you were saying, the alignments are shown, basically. And then the other thing I want to mention with this is the Black Moon Lilith energy it's so liberating. I feel as if, because of what you have experienced in the past, to do with rejection or being shunned or ridiculed or judged by your peers, by friends, or by people, I feel as if that Black Moon Lilith, in a way, it's your way of standing up for what is right and standing up for what is true, and wanting to maybe like make a difference within the world, and wanting other people to feel, to feel like they are validated and they are cared for. And cared for is a big part of this, of course, because the south node then is in Cancer, right? So the south node can actually look at our gifts, right? Our gifts and the talents that we have to offer the world. And the thing about this is you have Cancer in the fifth house, you have the moon also in Cancer and in the south node. So this to me suggests that what you're actually really very gifted at is, being able to like use or show emotion through your art, through your creativity. And that is moving. Like you create projects, music, for example, art, for example, paintings, for example, graphic designs, for example, that showcase so much emotion, and there's something inviting about them as well. And there's also something here about you being responsible enough, or being mature enough to go, hey, you know what, this is my baby. This is my baby, and I've been nurturing it for so long. And here, here, North Node in Capricorn with the Neptune energy, here I want to present it to the world, and I want people to see the vision, and I want people to feel, right? There's so much feeling through what you present and what you create. And yeah, I just feel as if the ways in which you create, mesmerizing, right? Mesmerizing, enchanting as well. Just beautiful, beautiful to the naked eye. Okay. Cassio, that was yours. Thank you so much. So we're fully booked for this session, but I may potentially come back on next week. But we're moving on now to Kelly. Well, Kelly Rose, Amber Rose. Okay. Okay, family, spiritual, health. Okay, family. Okay. I know, Alexander. Imagine doing it every day. Would you tune in? Maybe I need to give the people what they want. Okay. Let me see. If I just give me a moment. I want to make a few adjustments to your chart. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Radio. Okay, so family and spiritual health you want to know about, and then anything else that jumps out at me. Right, so let's do this. Let's do this, Amber Rose. Okay. All right, so this is an interesting one. Okay, so what's jumping out at me, especially based on the fact that you wanted to know about spiritual health, is so it's the fact that you have went through your first Chiron return. You've also went through your second Saturn return. And you have this Pisces energy in the third house, and they're also creating these oppositions to Pluto and Uranus in the ninth house. So there does seem to be something quite profound about how your beliefs and your connection with the divine have been um, really quite shaken up as you have aged, really, and I feel as if, many new insights have been brought up for you. And I suppose the other thing about this is, you also experienced your Uranus opposition. And so Uranus was in Pisces. I can double check the dates after, but that was a few years ago. And so that opposition, I feel as if that was indeed like quite an awakening for you, like a spiritual awakening. And maybe that could have been like within the past, I would say 10 years or so. Okay. And the other thing about this is perhaps a lot of like new truths and information came to light regarding past relationships with siblings or with cousins, or maybe what was really presented to you is that of recognizing, oh my gosh, this is the environment that I live in, and these are the people that I surround myself with, and this is how they influence me, and this is how I can feel drained at times, or this is how I can feel energized. And so I would say over the past 10 years or so for you, Amber Rose, is you've really been changing your perspectives, maybe being forced to change your perspectives, to do with your immediate environment, to do with the city that you live in, or to do with the sort of neighborhood that you live in. And there could be quite like harsh memories and like pain there tied to such things. Maybe there's been a lot of cleansing, a lot of purifying, healing, for instance, here, especially when it comes to these past situations. And the other thing I want to mention with this, of course, is you have a Capricorn rising, and you also have the moon in Capricorn, Mars and Venus there. Right. So just right off the bat with this, I would say you are a self-sufficient person. You are able to sustain yourself. You're someone who is perhaps very independent, very much a go-getter. And whenever you do kind of commit to a plan or a structure or a set way of doing things, you're like, right, okay, I'm doing it. And I would say as well that it's not even necessarily about like it, it's not so much about the financial side of it. I think this is more about respect. I think this is more about dedication, and it's more about proving yourself, but not necessarily to other people. It's more about you, right? It's more about, no, I was able to commit to that. I was able to follow through with that. I did that. And there's a sense of like a strong sense of achievement when it comes to you to be able to say that you focused on something, you climbed the mountain and you achieved it, and you did it because it was like, no, this is the right thing to do. This is my calling. This is my path. And maybe you have entered into these certain career paths, or you've entered into these roles and these positions where you have had to be the authority in this way. However, this is the thing. Pluto has been transiting your first house and all this Capricorn energy over the past 15 years. And so I would say that there have been many like shakeups and like very confronting moments with regard to success and status and reputation, who you can trust, who you can rely on. Maybe as well, this is looking at how your physical body has really transformed a great deal over the past 15 years. And maybe a big part of this is to do with your own resilience, or maybe making like very notable changes to the body, and perhaps through a health related way, or because of a health related way or matter. And we also notice here how your aims and your goals have perhaps transformed, and there have been many psychological insights that have come up. And maybe in this respect, like your purpose has been redefined, or you have realized, like, okay, this is just no longer a part of what I aspire to be anymore, or what I want to do with my life. I really want to change direction. You're actually going through your Mars return at the minute. And so maybe these things are really coming to the forefront, especially as Pluto does begin to exit your first house coming into January. But of course, such matters to do with your identity and your life path and your aims and your goals and everything, they are going to be revisited once more from September until November of this year. So that'll be a good opportunity for you to kind of reevaluate a few things. Now, the other thing I want to mention, of course, with this is so Saturn, of course, is the chart ruler. Now, with previously I did say that you've went through your second Saturn return. My apologies. You're going through your second Saturn return, okay? It's happening. It's here, okay? So with Saturn there being in the third house, this is very much about, I think, looking to, okay, this is how I wish to be some sort of professional or an expert within a spiritual area, a spiritual topic. And the other thing about this is, of course, Mercury is retrograde in Sagittarius, along with your Sun in Sagittarius in the 12th. So to me, this is like mentor, scholar-like energy, philosophical energy, wanting to intellectualize the spiritual, or wanting to share knowledge to do with the spiritual. This is very imaginative energy to me. This is also very aspirational, aspirational, and like above and beyond energy, basically, where you can really be very ambitious, and you have many ideas and many insights and perspectives to share. And these things, I think, come from a place of just understanding more so your own spiritual journey and the many experiences that you have went through. Sagittarius is very much a sign of experience. Okay. And so I do think that, you're someone who is willing to share what you have learned throughout your life. And again, I think it's through spiritual means. And the other thing that I further want to say with this is to have these energies in the 12th house further indicates that you get a lot of your joy and happiness and your enjoyment from being alone, or from traveling to foreign places, or from doing your own sort of research and learning, whenever you're on your own, from reading, perhaps, from learning about and exploring different parts of the world. You are this inner explorer, right? You're someone who, you never run out of like things to dive into in this way. And I think you're also inwardly like hopeful and optimistic, even though you may not present these things so like outwardly to the world. And then I also think that your sort of spiritual insights, they are presented through what you actually do. Because the thing is that all that Capricorn energy, it's also about showcasing practically uh, your own maturity lessons and how you have grown. And the other thing, of course, is, you did ask about with family things. Of course, Chiron and the North Node are transiting your fourth house right now. And then the other thing is that these energies are making squares to that Capricorn energy. I would say with this one that it can feel like there's a lot of pressure right now within the home, maybe having to look after someone or having to be there to support your loved ones in some way, maybe because there are certain limitations or because things are quite restrictive right now. But I think what this is kind of asking of you during this time is to be brave, is to stop. Okay, I'm just going to finish my point. Is to be brave, is to kind of face challenges head on, but to also just keep in mind, integrity, to keep in mind your own, um, well, self respect as well. And maybe there is something here about what you can handle and what you can address in the moment and just tackling one thing at a time. Okay, so that was yours, Amber Rose. I hope you find it to be helpful. Okay, so we've got Stasa next. Thank you so much, Amber Rose. I hope you find it to be helpful. Thank you. And as I say, folks, these are 10-minute readings. But if you are interested in a full reading, you can do so by going to hannahselsewhere.com. Okay, so Stasa. $19.82. Okay, Stasa. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Thank you for booking with me this evening. So good to have you here. And we're getting on to your chart now, Stasa. Thank you so much for your patience. All right, just take a drink of water. And let's do this. Okay, Stasa. Right, so first and foremost, what is jumping out at me is you have a Sagittarius rising. Okay, so you have a Sagittarius rising along with Uranus there and Pallas, and then also Neptune is there. So there seems to be something quite notable, I think, about your ability to be free, about your ability to think for yourself, about your ability to question authority and to explore, right? To explore, to reach into the unknown, to go into these unfamiliar territories that may feel uncomfortable, but it's like you have this thing about you where you're willing to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, all right? And I think as well that you have so many like creative ideas to share, and you can be pretty inventive and quite unique. You could have a very like unique appearance about you, or you can come across as someone who is just quite different, right? You could very well stand out in this way, or you could be someone who very much, you push back against any sort of forms of control or power plays, this type of stuff. And here's the thing about this is you have Jupiter at 29 degrees, the anaretic degree in Scorpio in the 12th, and you also have Saturn there in the 12th. So I would say with Jupiter right on the cusp here of the 12th and the 1st, I just think that you are this inner explorer, right? You're an inner investigator. You're always like researching, you're always reading between the lines, you're always wanting to know more. But this can also perhaps slightly suggest like suspicion, be very, very suspicious of others, or, kind of feeling like, oh, well, are they going to take advantage of me? Being quite skeptical. And maybe you have every right to be skeptical at certain times, right? But I would also say with this is very wise. Jupiter, of course, is your chart ruler. And to have it right there in the 12th, it could suggest that, you're very wise about your own spiritual values and beliefs, or maybe you prefer to spend a great deal of time alone, alone with your thoughts, alone with your beliefs. And maybe as well, you are someone, you need a good bit of rest. Like you need to sort of go through periods of contemplation and go through periods of spending time in solitude. Of course, Saturn is also there in the 12th, and this can point toward how perhaps like you do need a good bit of time alone. And maybe a big part of this alone time is to do with, you know, what is happening for you on a psychological level. Because, well, the thing is I'm just going to go there. The thing is that with Saturn, even in the 12th, it can suggest some issues to do with the father, like a father figure. It can suggest this hidden father, or a father figure who was perhaps quite stern, or perhaps quite domineering, given the fact that Pluto is making that conjunction to Saturn as well. Or maybe this can suggest something quite destructive or explosive to do with relationships. So this could be like a separation or a divorce from your parents whilst you were growing up. Or this could be some sort of power struggles to do with friendships, or to do with being a part of a group. That could be another possibility. Okay. And experiencing those setbacks. And maybe, so going back to the Saturn energy in the 12th, I feel as if what this is pointing toward is you working through your own pain, you working through your own suffering. But there always seems to be a lesson, I think, with Jupiter in the 12th too. There always seems to be a lesson. There always seems to be like a higher meaning, or there's something about your faith and your belief system that supports you and it holds you in a lot of ways. But yeah, I think here that there have been these hardships that you've have experienced when you were growing up, and I feel as if there's been a lot of this diving into the psyche, and maybe aligning yourself with a spiritual practice that's very healing. And I also want to mention with this, the secondary progressive midheaven is there in Scorpio, so perhaps what you've really done throughout your life is, you've thought about, how can I give back? Or, coming from a place of like, I understand what it feels like to experience these hardships and these setbacks in my life. And so I want to maybe like assist other people, and I want to, I want to help in some way. And the other thing, of course, is you have so much Capricorn energy, right? So you're very much dominant, Stasa, in the sign of Capricorn. Your sun is there. Happy birthday, by the way, for the 24th of December back then. But with all that Capricorn energy, ambitious, very ambitious. But the thing about it too is, it's I think this is legacy energy. I think this is the type of energy that goes, well, how would I like to provide for my loved ones, or what can I pass on to those who are here? And whenever I'm long gone, what I want to leave behind, right? What is my legacy? What can I pass on? And maybe a big part of this is even related to your finances, your belongings, and how it is that you can support other people in this way. And here's the thing about it too is, and also by other people, I mean specifically family, because here's the thing about it too. The South Node, of course, is in Capricorn, and then the North Node's in Cancer in the eighth house, and the eighth house also looks at legacy, and so with Cancer, the North Node in Cancer in the eighth house, I think a big part of your life path is that of, okay, how am I contributing to my family, and what can I do to support my family, and how can I also work through my own like emotional distresses too. There's just something here about learning from the past, like learning from, okay, this doesn't work. This is something that I'm trying, and time and time again, there's resistance, and something just seems to be off balance here. And so it's learning from the past, from mistakes, from regrets, from particular failures. And this isn't necessarily on your end. This could be, from other people in your life. And then it's more so looking toward, okay, but this is what I can control. This is the emotional stuff I can work through for myself. This is about me addressing my own pain, my own setbacks, my own hardships in my life. Of course, North Node is also making a trine to Saturn there. And then the other thing about this is you've got your moon in Aries, right? The dispositor of this North Node is in Aries. So this moon in Aries energy in the fifth house is really about individualization. It is really about, okay, how can I nurture my self-expression? Now, the thing is that moon energy is making this square to some of your Capricorn energy. And, that can indicate some sort of like lesson or struggle or setbacks and delays to do with how you can nurture yourself. But maybe as you have grown, like I understand that, you've went through your first Saturn return. Okay. And perhaps with that Saturn return, a lot of this emotional healing really started to unfold for you. And that Saturn return, I would say, was in the 2010s, around the 2010s, 2012, around that time period. But still, Moon in Aries, I think, in the fifth house is saying, this is about individualization. This is about you really thinking about your own sort of path, especially through a lens of children, and on what it is that you can pass on to your own children, or even what it is that you can pass on through your creativity, right? Through the art that you make, through your actual creations in this way. And then the thing as well is the moon is making that trine to Uranus. So with the trine to Uranus, this is quite a supportive energy in that, perhaps this is looking at how much you have explored and changed, and how much your perspectives have just been opened up. To me, it just kind of feels like a big part of your life was like spent in the dark. But this is like this eye-opening experience. This is about how you growing older and becoming, or growing more into yourself, is more about you being more freeing, or just opening yourself up to the world, So yeah, and the thing about it too is with Capricorn energy is that it ages like a fine wine. And Capricorn energy, it can be hard, and it can be limiting, and it can be like a struggle or like an uphill battle early on in life, especially when it comes to your own resources and your ways of earning money, etc. But as time does pass, and with lessons and with greater maturity, then things do start to ease. Okay, so that was yours, Stasa. I hope you found it to be helpful. And lastly, we are moving on to Shola. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. We've been here for nearly 4 hours. 4 hours. But we're on the last one. We made it. We made it. Thank you so much for your patience. Shola, can I ask? Oh, yes, 21st. Okay, got it. Got it. Nine- Um, is it so Hackney? Okay. Good. Hello, Shola. Thank you for being here. Okay, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. A lot of Scorpio risings, a lot of Pisces risings. Okay, last but certainly not least, Shola. Let's do this. Excuse me. Just get a drink of water and then we'll be ready to go. Yay. Thank you very much, Stasa, for your feedback. Oh, what the theme of this year is. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me just pull up some transits then for you, Shola. Happy days. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to set the timer now. Okay. Cyanide regressions. Okay. All right, let's go. Okay, so for you, Shola, okay, so you kind of want to get a feel for the next year or so. All right, so what I'm going to explore with this is the fact that Jupiter is going to enter Gemini come May of 2024 and will be there until around about May 2025, so for the next year. So, that particular transit for you throughout your 8th house could be quite notable because Jupiter will, of course, create these squares to your Sun, Saturn, and your natal Jupiter in Virgo in the 11th, and then also Juno. So I think what this can point toward is you opening yourself up to new ways of thinking when it comes to who you are on a more psychological level, and how such matters could very well even clash when it comes to how other people know you or perceive you or see you within groups and teams. So let's kind of think firstly about how you've got the Sun and Saturn conjunct there in Virgo in the 11th, and you also have Jupiter there in Virgo in the 11th. So I would say, well, Juno as well, the conjunction. So I would say that this can actually be quite like expansive, hopeful, optimistic, and prosperous energy to do with friendships and groups, and just how generous you can be, or maybe having many friends, or being a part of many certain social circles, or feeling like you contribute to something bigger within society, like doing something helpful, being there as an assist, to play an assisting role, basically, right? To want to be of service in this respect. But then the other thing about this is, with Sun conjunct Saturn, this can actually suggest that there's something about the ego that feels limited or feels blocked. And there's something here about you having to kind of build upon your own self-assurance, right? Having to build upon your own character. And maybe you have indeed done this, right? You have went through your first Saturn return. And so with that, I feel like you have really matured and showed you, like, proven yourself, showed yourself to be a person of like a person with good reputation, basically, when it comes to certain communities and teams you're a part of. He was thinking about certain organizations that you lead, and just the real like role that you play and the position that you hold, right? But then you see, of course, with the Jupiter energy coming along and making these squares then to this Virgo energy coming into the summer of 2024, you know, or sorry, my mistake. The Virgos are at the late degrees. So this is going to be more toward like coming into May 2025. I do apologize about that, Jola, but still there will be a square to the 11th house for you. So, maybe that can feel like, okay, well, there are these new opportunities to do with maybe managing other people's resources, or maybe there's some sort of prosperity or blessings, to do with collaboration or sharing, or to do with investigation or research, being able to read into things a lot more. Maybe there's something about occult like practices becoming really very evident for you, or diving deeper into your own psychology, etc. But as I say, such matters, I feel as if, could very well lead to this like questioning, right? Like questioning your purpose, questioning your life path, questioning your meaning, questioning what it is that you actually want, and really challenging your hopes and wishes for the future. So there could be major changes upon the horizon for you, basically. And then what I even want to say with this further is, well, let's think about how there is this Jupiter transit still happening in the 7th house for you, and this is going to continue to happen all the way up until May of 2024. And then Uranus is also there, and has been there for a good few years. So perhaps as things unfold over the next few months for you, what's going to come to light is you having to face your shadow when it comes to relationships, right? And maybe even seeing where you can bite off more than you can chew, or where you can make promises that you can't actually fulfill. Or maybe this is looking at how you can be over ambitious, for example. I mean, that Jupiter energy will start to oppose Mars for you in Scorpio. You have your natal Mars in Scorpio. It's home there. I mean, this to me just shows how much of a leader you are, how much of a doer you are, and you don't just sit on the sidelines. Like, you're someone where it's like, right, I'm focused on this. I'm concentrated on it. I'm going for it. So, this could be where things are quite challenged in this way, or maybe it's about having to face certain um aims and goals that actually don't align with you. And this is the actual thing about it, is you are experiencing your Uranus opposition right now. And the Uranus opposition, so basically what this means is, it's when the transit of Uranus opposes natal Uranus. So the Uranus opposition can be like a reinventing of sorts, like an eye-opening experience, a sort of questioning, like, what am I doing with my life? Where do I feel settled? Where do I feel safe? Where do I feel secure? Especially in Taurus in the 7th. And I think a lot of this is to do with relationships, right? It's to do with agreements and contracts and money and investments and banking and accounting, and this is to do with the workload as well, I would say. So maybe, right, as Jupiter starts to make this conjunction with Uranus, and this is going to be around April 2024. And that is going to be especially eye-opening for you, especially because it's going to oppose that natal Uranus for you. I see a change of direction. I see a life change, a life path change. I see perhaps like an identity shift because of a profound awakening of some kind. And here's the thing about it as well, is you do have your moon in Aquarius natally, and that is making a same degree square to Mars as well. So with you even having your moon in Aquarius, I mean, this suggests to me that you're continuously reinventing yourself, right? And this, of course, can be based on your own emotional needs. And maybe this is what you need to a great extent. It's like you need to be able to grow, to change, to progress, basically. So that square to Mars could be where, this progression happens, but it also feels almost like an attack on the ego, or it feels like your fears are gonna come up to the surface. And you've perhaps been experiencing this, especially because Uranus was more so closer to Mars there over the past year or so for you in terms of the opposition. So theme theme I just think is, it's like the cracking of the ego coming up, right? And having to face maybe certain um, habits or certain patterns that don't actually serve you in the long run. Or perhaps as well, if we consider how Pluto is, of course, one of the chart rulers, that is in Libra. There's Black Moon Lilith there, also Mercury. That could even be, of course, the South Node. I just want to say the South Node is also there on this energy. There's something about shedding coming up here. There's something about releasing, letting go of the past mindsets that are perhaps even linked to power struggles, or they're linked to control or force. Maybe this is actually pointing towards some heavy, serious relationship stuff, especially through a lens of defeat, or through a lens of I need to possess here, or I need to control and contain this right now. And so maybe the South Node in Libra is actually pointing toward great psychological healing on your part, psychological growth. And then as well, the North Node is transiting your sixth house in Aries, and there's going to be a conjunction in your sixth house. And that's going to be around February. So within the next month or so, that conjunction is going to oppose this 12th house energy. To me, it's just like, okay, you need to put your health first, right? There's just something about this 12th house energy, and it's compressed. There's this pressing down energy, or there's this, I physically cannot handle this. I physically, mentally, emotionally, I cannot deal with this. And it's just like a lot of opinions, a lot of noise in the background. So much feedback, perhaps, by people who think they know what's right for you, and people who think that, that this is the way, that is the way, etc. So I feel as if it could very well come to a point where it's like, no, but I need this for me, for my health. I need to think about my own body and my own physical well-being right now. And so, yeah, those things could very well come up more strongly around February. Okay. Oh, and also just final thing. Such matters, okay? Trine to the North Node in Leo, and also the midheaven and Venus in Leo. Such things are going to be linked to your profession, especially looking to how your profession is typically that of being a leader, okay? With this Leo energy in the 10th. Okay. That is us, Shola. That's you. I hope you find it to be helpful. I really, really do. And that is us, everyone. We've been here for 4 hours. Thank you so much for booking today. I had so much fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you benefited from it. I hope you got use from it. And as I say, if you want more detailed readings, if you want more insights into your chart, you can book a reading with me by going to hannahselsewhere.com. And if you're interested in joining the Patreon, you can do that. And yes, you missed it, but I'll be back. Okay. I will be back. I will be back next week. Well, if that's what you want. Okay, I'm going to get going. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you to all of you who booked. And like I said, I hope you find it to be helpful. And if any of you are interested in booking a reading, comment down below. Let me know. And I will catch you all very, very soon.